We don't back down, this is what we're made of. Standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait and see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. Raise up a white flag. Didn't come this far just to turn back. The curtains fall for the last act. Breaking that levee, breaking that levee. We don't back down, this is what we're made of. Standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait and see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. We don't back down, this is what we're made of. Standing our ground, here it goes down. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Oh, wait and see, we're gonna be legendary. Ain't no time like the here and now. Yeah, we showed up, now we showing up. Oh, you and me, we're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary. Legendary. We're gonna be legendary.
I got metal running through my bones, a resurrection like a ghost. Hurricane, go ahead and blow. Where you could keep your white flag, I'll never fold. A shadow on the battlefield, a survivor never yield. A thunder, go ahead and shake. Don't run from the storm when I feel the rain. There's no rest for the wicked, no victory for the weak. And when the weeds getting thicker, you'll never see me on my knees. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. I got a fever in my blood, a falling embers from above. I feel the heat when the pressure blows, a wildfire that you can't control. There's no rest for the wicked, no victory for the weak. And when the weeds getting thicker, you'll never see me on my knees. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. You can't control this, it's explosive. With every beat on my heart, I'll be the light in the dark. explosive.
10 years of speed. 10 years of stories. For the past 10 years, we've been more than just spectators. We've been the heartbeat of local racing, growing alongside the tracks, drivers, and fans who make it all possible. From the dusty turns to the checkered flags, we've shared every triumph and every challenge, making memories that last a lifetime. As we mark this milestone, we're not just looking back, we're revving up for the future. We are expanding, bringing you even more racing, more coverage, and more ways to connect with the adrenaline-fueled world we love. Our commitment to the local racing community is unwavering, and the next chapter promises to be our most exciting yet.
Welcome back to LSRTV's coverage of the Full Throttle Sim Racing Mach 1 Performance Cup Series here, where today we are in the state of Virginia. You know, they say Virginia is for lovers. Well, tonight it is for racers here tonight at the short track, just a little bit on the side of Richmond, Virginia. Good evening, everybody. Jason Rockefeller alongside my buddy always, Jeremy Stanley, and pushing all the buttons in the booth here tonight. We will bring him in from time to time. That will be Charles Wooten. Jeremy, we called a race here a few weeks ago, man. A little bit has happened since then. How we feeling tonight about Richmond?
You know, when I come to the sim racing world, I am not a fan of this track as a driver, but watching the races, I enjoy it a lot more. So I'm glad I'm not in the field tonight. I'm glad I'm in the booth with you and Charles, and that's going to be a hell of a time.
And it definitely is going to be one hell of a time. Let's take a look real quick here at the Hunt the Front TV race analysis for tonight's event here at Richmond. And it is not active, Charles tells me. But we will give you the rundown here from our voices. So what we're looking at tonight is 250 laps the distance. Stage breaks will be at the ends of lap 50 and lap 100. And again, this is the Richmond 250. These guys will have 5 sets of tires total, no faster pairs, and the fuel run's looking around to be about 100, maybe 120 laps from what we were told during pre-race for say. Earlier on in the day, I asked some of the drivers what it was looking like. Heard it was about 100 to 120. So we're just going to stick with that, I guess, there, Jeremy. And these guys are getting ready to qualify and take us through, Jeremy, because this track is really difficult to qualify on. You really have to be precise with everywhere on this racetrack, everywhere from your entrance into turns 1 and 2 to your exit off turn number 2, trying to not slide up into the wall, and then coming through 3 and 4 and making sure you don't go too wide off this corner.
Yeah, that quick moment there right before turn 3, you saw Chris Begg really wiggling the car left and right, trying to get every temperature, or raise the temperature in the tires as best as you can before you go for your hot lap here. Very easy to spin the tires off the turn 4 exit, and then turn 2, make sure that car is rotating. It's very easy to have that wall come up to you in a hurry and hit your right side, which could really hinder the performance of the car. So a lot of different variables each and every single lap here.
Yeah, there definitely is a lot of variables here when you come to Richmond Raceway. This has always been a track that has been very kind to me, whether it be in the tour-type modifieds that I absolutely love ripping around this racetrack with, or the trucks, or the Xfinity, or even the old Gen 6 Cup car. I'm yet to, I think, run a Gen 7 race here, but I know that it's still a track that I really like. And here's a driver who's hopefully liking the track tonight. He was very fast in practice. I think he was about second quickest on the board. Picked up his very first FTSR victory 1 week ago. And Charles, I'll bring you in real quick because, man, this kid came onto the scene late in the season last year, showed some strength, and then this year he has been really, really strong. And last week, me and you got to see him dominate COTA pretty much, and it was practically a racetrack that he owned all night long.
Yeah, we definitely did. And, we brag about all the time how drivers, we hadn't seen any, just domination by any one driver. Well, he definitely made a liar out of some at COTA because he, like you said, he dominated in big-time fashion.
Yeah, and he dominated for sure, big-time fashion last week, led 40 laps and swept both stages. Got the victory over Jose Acosta in the number 24 machine. Yeah, and he got the pole. So not only did he win the pole, he swept both stages, led over 40 laps basically, and then came home with the victory. And he was very, very thrilled to come home last week with the victory. And Jeremy, we talk about this racetrack really probably in a sense, like we saw kind of in the Cup race on Sunday night just yesterday. And by the way, everybody, happy belated Easter. I know that's usually a term you would use for a birthday, but I guess that's the one you could use. So happy Easter. Hopefully you all had a great weekend here, and now you're ready for some short track action here in Virginia. But Jeremy, the thing that we talk about, like I was mentioning, is like on Sunday night's Cup race, is strategy. Usually these races at Richmond, they can either be very caution-filled or strategy comes into a big factor towards the end of this race, is like we saw last year with Tony Solari picking up a victory late in the going in the race, and he came in, took some tires, took a strategy call, and he drove to the front and won it with just a few laps to go.
Yeah, you saw a massive amount of strategy in the real-life race yesterday, where you would try to maybe extend a stint run or do a two-stop strategy. I know you got less laps here than you do the actual race, but these teams are thinking of the same exact strategies of how can I maximize my time on the track and make sure I'm the fastest I can be. And so you might see different teams do different type of pit stop strategies, and depends on how the cautions will fall, and that'll probably determine your race winner tonight.
Yeah, and it definitely could determine the race winner tonight. Here's Joseph Rojava, finally got a good finish last week at Circuit of the Americas, coming home 5th, even though he did start 12th, one of probably the fastest drivers throughout the field and one of the most consistent, and he had a lot of off tracks last week, but yeah, it paid off. He came home 5th and currently on the speed chart, sits 4th tonight, so great qualifying effort by Mr. Joseph Rojava. And I mean, Jeremy, who do you think is one to watch here tonight? We come into this race, Nathan Bigart just came off his first win. He sits on the pole right now, but don't count out drivers like Richie Coy, Daniel Simmons, TJ Bartel, James Wallace. Any one of these guys can win this race here tonight.
Yeah, I'm just kind of going over the stats from the season, and you kind of have to look at the short track style, right? Or maybe even part of last week's race at the road course. So, Jose Acosta, second, then first the past couple weeks. That might be the car to really look out for. I know Richie Coy's pretty strong at these. You can't count out Nathan Bigart. He's done almost every single race inside the top 10 really fast. So, I mean, those three guys initially stand out to me.
Yeah, you come here to a track at Richmond, and last year this race had 2 dates because it was 2 dates on the actual Cup Series calendar, and then this year I believe it is only the one Richmond date. I could be wrong, but don't hold me to it. But with that being said, these guys are ready to go. They're gritting up here for the Richmond 250. Let's give you the starting lineup here tonight for the Mach 1 Performance Cup Series. Row number 1, pole sitter, last week's winner. 2 poles in a row, trying to make it 2 wins in a row. Nathan Bigart alongside Richie Coy, who is always strong on the short tracks on his outside. Row number 2, Daniel Simmons had a great run here in one of the races last year alongside newcomer Joseph Grojava, trying to continue the momentum forward from Coda on the outside. Row number 3, TJ Bartell in the 98, and Colton Gum with a great qualifying effort. The number 10 machine was very fast last week. We'll see what he has tonight. Row 4, Jeff Chandler led so many laps here 1 year ago, and it all unfolded late in the going in a late race crash alongside Chris Beck, who was suspended for one of the Richmond races earlier on last year on the outside. In row at number 5, rounding out the top 10 here, Jeremy, James Wallace and Bill Hull in the 51.
11th through 20th, we got Ben Tracy in 11th and Kyle Milliken on the outside in 12th. 13th place will be the 47, Ryan Hendrick. And to the outside, Dave Nestor in the 36. 15th place will be Lane Allen in the 14. And then to his outside, the number 29, Jake Euler. 17th will be Brian DeBlay in the 37. And Sherwood Williford in 18th. Colby Mice in 19th in the 9 car. And then to his outside, the number 4, Chad Lang.
Row number 11, Tony Solari picked up the Richmond 2023A victory 1 year ago with a strategy call alongside Joshua Johnson on the outside. Row number 12, you'll find Wayne Grossi. He's got some great finishes from last year's races here alongside Jamie Knopf, who's been so dominant this season with his teammate Daniel Simmons. Row number 13, Jose Acosta. There he is. You see him way in the back of this field. Going to see Hal Hall will drive up to the front, and James Torrey there in the number 6. Row 14, you'll find Brody Hanna and Brian Bliss in the number 3 machine. And that's going to be your 28-car rundown. Brody Hanna did not make the grid once again for the race here tonight. We'll see if he starts on pit road. We'll keep an update on that. But, Jeremy, these guys are going to have one pace lap, man. What do you think we're going to expect here tonight?
It's a great question. These guys are pretty respectable overall with one another, so we could see a lot of space given inside the first 5 laps or whatnot. But after that, when your cars settle in, the tires are warmed up, you might see a little bit of raciness going on. If not, we're going to be a lot of single file to run out the first stage. So I'm always curious on how these races will go, but I do know it will be a good show overall tonight.
And it's going to be a good show. It was a great show last night in the Cup Series. Denny Hamlin picking up the victory here. They're going to get the 1-to-go signal this time by. I forgot that it was a short track. Usually most short tracks under a mile, they have about 2 pace laps under caution in a sense. But obviously this is the initial start, so they'll go around one more time here. A couple drivers to note looking out tonight. Nathan Bigart, remember last week at Coda, he's also the points leader, starts on the pole tonight. Tony Solari, the 2023A Richmond winner, he led 13 laps in that and then finished 3rd in the second Richmond race. Jamie Knopf, 2023B winner here, led 15 laps as well. Jeff Chandler trying to see if he can get that Richmond redemption. 206 laps led in 2023B, but wrecked late and finished 6th. Daniel Simmons, Richie Coy, Wayne Grossi, and Ryan Hedrick, who had a couple of top 10s and one top 5 here last year in both races. Well, pace car dips down onto the pit lane. They're through the Geico restart zone, and the green flag is out. We're racing under the lights here in Richmond, and Nathan Bigard and Richie Coy go side by side down into 1 and 2.
250 laps of awesome racing here for the Mach 1 Performance Cup Series. A little contact there already coming off of turn 2 by a couple of the race leaders. They get through 3 and 4 here. Top 5 almost single file. 6th on back. Still remain 2 by 2 by 2 as the first lap's complete.
First 3 drivers get single filed out. Nathan Bigart leads the first lap, and Richie Coy trying to utilize that outside diamonds the corner almost coming off turn number 2. He's got Daniel Simmons right back behind him. We got a couple of drivers possibly going around here in the back, noticing a lot of shuffling up, and it might have been a big wreck coming off turn number 2. That's the 35 of Ben Tracy. You see the 3 machine of Brian Bliss. Tony Solari, last year's winner here as well. And here it is. This is coming around to complete lap number 1 here, Jeremy. In turn 2, probably the most treacherous part of this racetrack with the safer barrier jumping out at you. And then that little hump going over turn 2, which can really spin the tires. And you'll see guys get tight or get loose. Wow, massive contact for the 35 machine right there of Ben Tracy. You saw him just slam the inside wall, and then it all unfolded heading up into turn number 3 there. You saw Brian Bliss into the wall. There's Tony Solari as well. Doesn't look to be a ton of damage on the number 11 machine. Kyle Milliken in the Oberon Bell's Brewing Company Chevrolet. And this is where it all started. Oh my goodness, there. The 3 machine just comes right up into the 57 in Germany. I think he anticipated Ben Tracy to come back up, but just wasn't really aware that the 57 of Josh Johnson was up there.
No, not at all. And it would help if my mic was not muted there when I tried talking the last time. But the 51 there looked like just kind of brake checked the 35, had nowhere to go, and then a big overcorrection there by the number 3 to Brian Bliss in front of Joshua Johnson, and pretty decent contact there off turn 3 entrance. So a lot of damage early on. The 35 probably has the required 8 minutes with that left front toe link being disconnected. So your chances of at least a top 10, top 15 are over. But, you know, this can happen on lap 2. It could happen again here shortly after. And, you know, kind of run the laps out where you can and see what you can't make up.
Yeah, and definitely, obviously, under the first caution for the time being right now, and Nathan Bigart still holds the race lead. Couple of drivers, many of them rather, involved in that first or second lap crash going from turn 2 all the way to turn 3 that elected to come down to the pit lane. A couple of the drivers I noticed who did come in as well, Ryan Hedrick, Lane Allen, Jamie Knopp, I believe as well, with a few other drivers. James Torrey, Ben Tracy, Kyle Milliken still on pit road, so they're definitely going to be fixing up the damage that they sustained under that first caution here, and we should be getting the 1 to go pretty shortly. I can only imagine about another lap or so. But, I mean, it was just a dominating performance last week, Jeremy, with Nathan Bigart. And, again, we saw him last year late in the going when we called the series all year long. I mean, he came in early in the go or late in the going, finished really well at Phoenix, and then ever since the start of this season, man, he has been probably the most consistent driver, the only one who's got 5 top 5s this season so far, leads the point standings coming into tonight by about 50 points or so over Daniel Simmons, and Richie Coy sitting there in third, back by 60, only 10 behind Daniel Simmons. We talk about last year with the dominating performances pretty much being from Fury Motorsports. So, I mean, we'll see here in just a second, but we'll get back to that in 1 second. Charles has got a report from us down in the pits on Brody Hanna's machine. Charles, look out for him.
You know, I got to talk to Brody real quick, ran down to the concession stand and found him there. He was getting himself a nice hot dog, and I asked him, said, hey, you know, shoved the mic in his face and asked him, why, what happened? Did you miss the start? He goes, I hate this beep car, and I'm not racing. You saw why on that lap. You hit the brakes, and you beep and wrecked. So that was from Brody. We had to censor a few words, but yeah, he doesn't like the car, and he's not going to start this race.
Wow. Well, how about that? Brody Hanna not participating in tonight's event due to the Gen 7 car. Just not a good combination for him, despite having a solid season so far, even though he doesn't look like he's up inside the top 10 in points. But with that being said, green flag is back out. Nathan Bigart leads them back into turn number 1 with these drivers filing out. In Germany, I'll just mention it again real quick. We talk about Fury Motorsports pretty much being the dominators last season. You can make a stand for LA Motorsports between Daniel Simmons and Jamie Knopp being the dominators late in the going last season as well. But Nathan Bigart, man, he has just been shot out of the cannon so far this season.
Yeah, I remember when I joined in here a few weeks ago, I was trying to catch up on all the new stuff that was happening in 2024, and definitely caught my eye. It was a big contact there on the outside. Oh, Tony Solari's going to cross 90-degree perpendicular hit to the backstretch wall on lap number 9, and quickly is going to bring out that second caution here this evening. That's going to collect the number 42 as well here. So it looks like a total of 3, potentially 4 cars involved, and kicking it back to the replay. We're going to see what happens here.
Yeah, in Germany, it looked like right there, and these guys are just so action-packed right now that we can't even get out our sentences and thoughts, and you could just see from the action that's going on. And again, it happens coming off turn number 2. It looks like right here coming up, I believe it's the number 48 that hits the wall right there, and then everybody kind of gets loose. Tony looked like he was reacting, I think he thought, if I can even get a sentence out, He thought that the 47, I think, was going to hit the wall, so he elected to kind of come down a little bit more, got on the throttle, and it looked like he just kind of got loose coming off turn 2. We talked about how there's that little hump coming over into turn number 2 on exit, and then there's the wall on the outside that just comes up and jumps right at you, and unfortunately that's what bit the 11 and the 47.
It just didn't look like he had heat in those tires. He got off of turn 2. That car was gradually turning left and just a little bit of an overcorrection on the steering wheel. And Tony just completely hooked the thing to the right into the outside wall there in front of the 47 Ryan Hedrick. So wrong place, wrong time for Ryan. He's probably got about a minute or so of optional repair on the nose of that car, which is kind of useful here at Richmond. You're getting upwards of 130, 140 miles an hour before you get into turn number 1. And so aerodynamics can play a factor on your car depending on how it's handling. So you want to get that repaired. And then, yeah, I think it's going to be okay, though. If you reference the race yesterday in real life, you saw Denny Hamlin. I don't know if you listened to Actions Instrumental already or not, but he said when he got behind Joey Logano trying to run down Martin Truex, when you get about 2 or 3 car lengths, you kind of just stall out because they have that newer short track package and whatnot. It's where the underbody's kind of flipped up a little bit and it causes more lift on the nose and your car just can't grip. And so handling can play a factor, and you want to get everything repaired when you can.
Yeah, definitely a factor in yesterday's race for sure, and it was definitely visible. You saw a lot of drivers have dirty air complaining. Martin Truex Jr. having a lot of struggling there before that late race caution with Kyle Larson spinning out. Just could not get through into lap traffic. And gave up about a 2.5, 2 3/4 of a second lead over the 22 and the 11 machine, and then eventually the caution fell, and Denny Hamlin beat the 19 out of the pits, and it was definitely an eventful night for sure, and we're going to have an eventful night probably here as well, like Charles just mentioned in our ear. And it's already been eventful. 2 cautions so far, 13 laps in. We'll probably get the 1 to go signal here this time by, and it has been a tough night so far for oh boy. And hearing that Charles Wooten has more reports for us. Charles, what do you got for us this time? And hopefully it's not a hot dog story.
No, but the same issue, the reason Brody didn't start this race is what he saw happen in the first one, and it just happened now. You know, Tony barely taps the gas, he barely got on the brake, and these cars, they're just braking right, and you hit the gas or the brake just a little bit, even on the straightaways, they're braking right and hitting the wall. That's what's caused both of these, so yeah, we may have a very interesting night here tonight with these cars, just braking right randomly.
Yeah, it definitely should be an interesting one for sure. And I mean, the brakes have always been a factor really here, Jeremy, at these short tracks. You get on the brake and the car just kind of turns right a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, open setups here at FTSR, so if you can't play with that brake bias a little bit too strong there to the rear, which it helps the car rotate, but if you just move it a little bit too far to the rear, you're going to get loose real easy. You're going to live life on the edge for a while before the heat and the tires really build up and just kind of, tighten up over the long run. But here we go. Pace car is down. Green flag is out. Nathan gets a pretty equal start there to the outside car, number 19, Richie Coy. They're going to head up into turn number 1 side by side. If Richie can hold this corner exit on the top, he might have a good chance into turn number 3 and just can't get it done. Nathan's going to slide right back up in front of Coy, Simmons, Grijalva, and Bartel moves up into P4 here as he's going through turn number 4.
Double wide back behind the leaders. You see Joseph Grijalva battling with the number 98 machine of TJ Bartel as they go into turns 1 and 2. Bartel travels up the racetrack, opens up the bottom a little bit. They get loose coming off turn number 2. In fact, most of the field does back behind them. Bartel able to slam the door shut on Grijalva, but he's going to try to fight back on the inside. Not enough as they come to the line this time by lap number 17. Will go up on the board, and Colton Gum trying his hardest to get right to the back bumper of the 12 machine, but it's so tough to do here as they come off too.
Yeah, Colton's just looking really tight right here early in the run. Looks like corner exit. He has to just wait on that throttle a little bit more here. He gets to him about center, but look at corner exit. He's going to give up about a whole car length of space, if not more. But he really drives the car deep into the corner here, which is paying off. Center looks okay, but when he touches that throttle, he just can't get to it like some of these other guys here in the top 5. And we got to spin there off of turn number 2. It's going to bring out our third caution on lap 18. I couldn't see exactly who. I think it was a black and yellow car. just caught him on the very tail end here. It looks like, my favorite driver here at FTSR, Jose Acosta here, got a little stack up, 48, the 57, 36. Looks to be about a 5-car wreck here, Jason.
And that's the thing here, Jeremy, is he started in the back, so he kind of put himself right in the center of this mess. I mean, pretty much literally in the Wolfpack, shades of what the sponsors on his car, the Wolfpack group, and he just finds himself right in the middle of this chaos. You see them stack up coming off turn number 2. Brian Dublé stacks up the field. Dave Nestor gets involved. Jamie Knopf, Sherwood Williford as well. As you see Knopf go around right there. Joshua Johnson as well involved. Lots of drivers coming off turn number 2 get involved in this one. And again, Jeremy, it's off turn number 2. There's just something about this track in the sim racing world here on iRacing. And in my opinion, I personally believe Richmond coming off turn number 2, we saw it a lot in the Road to Pro race just last Thursday night. We saw it a lot as well within, the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, and just in general. Turn 2 is just probably one of the most troublesome spots here on the sim, if I had to say.
If Dustin was in here, he'd be calling it the coffin corner already. He likes to dub that term. But Chad Lang in the 4 looks like he got to the back bumper from that helmet camera there, looking forward. And it looks like Chad Lang, who had some problems last year, you mentioned it, had a one-race suspension that came from this race. It looks like he got in the back of Dave Nestor, sent him around, and caused that pileup. It's just turn 2 is so tricky because the corner exit's so tight. The corner is flat, but it's wide sweeping, so it carries some speed. But that corner just comes up in a hurry on exit, and some of these guys may be thinking, "Oh, I'm going to be, pushing that issue, so I'm going to lift a little bit." And that's what Dave Nestor could have done in front of Chad, and he got into the back of him and caused that third caution.
Working under the third caution, like Jeremy just mentioned, of the night here on lap 21. We'll probably get the one to go signal here either this time by or next time. And these guys aren't going to have a lot of time here, Jeremy, when they restart. It's going to be less than 30 laps to go here towards the end of the stage. Remember, stage 1 completion, lap number 50, stage 2 completion, lap number 100. So these guys don't have a lot of time here in stage 1 if they want to try to get these stage points. We've already had a couple of drivers up towards the front that have really stayed there. You see Big Art, Coy, Simmons, they've stayed in the top 3. Wallace has stayed in 9th. But a couple of other drivers, even though despite they've been involved in wrecks, you look at Brian Bliss, he's up 14 spots in 13th. Not Wayne Grossi, but Jose Acosta, even though he was involved in that wreck, 15th, he's up 13 spots. So if you want these stage points, you're going to really have to dig and get after them here for this one.
Yeah, I mean, your short run's going to have to be great. And I was going to mention earlier that Jose Acosta went from 28th to 18th in that first 2 laps of the race. And I was thinking, this is going to be the guy to watch. But then he kind of stalled out there in 18th on the second run. And the third run just really couldn't get too much going either. So it looks like early on you're going to have a really strong short run car to jump some spots before the potential next caution, if we're going to follow the trends. But I know these guys eventually will get it sorted out. We'll have some long green flag racing. That is just nature here for FTSR. But right now, this track is playing really tricky. And I can see why Brody Ham decided to back out of this one, because I'm sure he would not be having a fun time out there himself.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of drivers in the back half of this field that are probably not having a night that they want to remember here from the Richmond Raceway. And the thing is, if this race does become, in fact, a short-run race, it's going to be difficult and different for sure. Lots of drivers probably anticipate this race to have a little bit of green flag action. We've had anything but that here so far in the first 23 laps, and we're about to come through and complete it this time by restarting on lap 24. They head into the restart zone. Nathan Bigart will fire out of the exit, and Richie Coy gets a very bad start right there. Not something you usually see out of the driver, the number 19. He goes from second all the way back to 5th, possibly even 6th. They work off turn number 2. Grijalva gets loose, nearly taps the wall. The same could be said for Richie Coy. They all funnel out down into turn number 3, and it is a hornet's nest coming off 4.
I wonder if Richie was trying to save gas there on that caution, or the caution brake there, and just didn't shift it down to the second gear for that restart. Got caught sleeping a little bit, loses 3 spots. Now he's fighting on the outside of the number 10 and 12. Colton's going to complete that pass. He's going to follow suit single file momentarily in between the 10 and the 12 here, as he's going to try to regroup and get himself back. into the top 3 where he's been so far on all the charts in practice and in the race so far. So looking back here a little bit, Bill Hull in the 51 under attack by the 67 of James Wallace. Little contact there, Jeff Chandler off the turn 2 exit. It looks like he's going to now fall double file here as they go through 3 and 4.
And Jeremy, how many times do you think that Richie Coy is going to huff and puff like we always see him do in his in-car camera? Because if it was anything like Bristol a few weeks ago, we obviously weren't able to broadcast due to technical difficulties, but if you did watch Richie Coy's stream as Bill Hull gets loose coming off turn number 2, I watched it, and Richie was huffing and puffing off every single corner exit, and we have a caution here on the racetrack. But I can only imagine there, Jeremy, that number 19 machine is huffing and puffing every time he comes off these corners.
Yeah, I think last time we talked about it on short track, it was we calculated over 600 plus times, and Chad Lang obviously not happy with Richmond in 2024 here. Looks like I saw the 35 there of Ben Tracy once again having left front tire issues on the backstretch parked. So we're going to look on the number 4's TV camera here. Chad Lang 1 and 2. We're going to see the wreck happen right here. 35.
Oh!
He spun himself. And look at that left front. The second toe leg broken on the 35 here tonight. Same. Oh, man. Damn. The 42 Kyle Milliken comes in heavy. And that look at the tire. I've never seen it completely disconnected like that before. And so that team has way more work to do. But the second time we've seen it tonight, Jason, where the car just, it looks like it's going to go straight on exit, and then almost halfway down the back straightaway, it does that hook to the right.
I tell you what, Jeremy, if Ben Tracy could just lose the left rear and just keep the left front off, he might be able to go compete for freestyle in Monster Jam. If you remember how Tom Mentz, whenever he would lose 1 or 2 of the tires on that monster truck for maximum destruction, he would somehow get over on his lid, but somehow throttle it back up and be able to do donuts on his side. Obviously, Tom Mentz, one of the greats in the Monster Jam world. And Ben Tracy definitely not really having the night he wants to. It would probably be quite literally a maximum destruction night for the driver of the number 35 machine. Puts us under the 4th caution here for the evening. And Jeremy, right there, you saw the 4 machine of Chad Lang. We talked about how he was involved in that one. He wasn't even involved in that main wreck up ahead of him. It just looked like he as well just got loose coming off turn 2. I don't know if he was checking up or what, but he got loose and just went around all by himself.
Yeah, you could see the car just stepping out a little bit more, and then you can see the front wheels turn to the right. And then these tires have such a wide base, there's more rubber on the road, right? So if you're getting a little loose and you turn to the right to overcorrect, there's more grip in that front tire than previous generations of this Cup car. So it's going to very easily turn back to the right, and we've seen that twice now from Tony Solari and now Ben Tracy. And it's just going to happen that way. If you don't have the grip on corner exit and you're going to chase the car, you better do a very gradual turn of the wheel, or we're going to see more of that here throughout tonight. The grip levels should get a little bit better as this race comes through a little bit and the track starts rubbering in more, but it's, you know, right now it looks very, very difficult for turn number 2 here for these guys tonight.
Yeah, it definitely looks very, very difficult here for sure, no doubt about it. And the thing is, too, Jeremy, you mentioned how the old car with the Gen 6 compared to the Gen 7 car, the right front on this car with obviously the wider tire base and the grip level and the tire that Goodyear brought in general for the short tracks with the so-called next-gen car that's not necessarily the next-gen anymore, it's just the Gen 7 car, is that right front doesn't wear out as much. And when it came to Richmond with the old Gen 6 cars, you would have to take care of that right front. But one thing that has not changed from the 6 to the 7 car is that right rear. You're going to have to take care of this right rear all night long, especially coming off turn number 2 and off turn number 4, where you kind of sweep around the corner, but you're still turning. Coming off turn number 4, I can only imagine that right rear is definitely going to wear out a ton here tonight.
Yeah, it's a different car. It's a different style of tire with being the low profile, lighter base. But the end game is still the same. You want to take care of that right rear 100%, or else your car is just going to get looser and looser and looser. So you got to find that balance of not overheating the right front and not cooking the left or right rear as well. So that balance will definitely show in the later half of this run who's got that balance, who doesn't. Pace car is back down. Nathan's going to lead now the 0-6 of Daniel Simmons for the first time on the outside. Let's see if Richie gets a better restart. He tried, but Daniel this time forgets to hit the shift marker. He's going to lose it to the 12 of Colton Gummins against turn 1.
Yeah, and Daniel Simmons jumps back from second all the way back to fourth. Everybody really squirrely coming through to turn 1 on the exit of turn number 2. Only a handful of laps to go before they complete stage number 1. Bill Hull nearly runs in to the back of Richie Coy there on the entrance to turn number 3, but was able to slide up the racetrack, not make any contact with Colton. Oh, Jeff Chandler around off the bumper of what looked to be possibly the 29 of Jake Euler. Not too sure, but Jeff Chandler up and into the wall. One of the races from last year at Richmond, Jeff Chandler dominated, led so many laps, wrecked later on, and tonight here, Jeremy, he is around early in the going, just 34 laps in.
We're going to see what happened here on the replay. Going through turns 3 and 4. Really congested part of the track right here. Gets off turn number 4. Looks clean. He's the only car single file in this little grouping. Oh, and then the 29 just comes through, and that's Jake Euler there. Just completely comes through and just destroys the back bumper there. Jeff Chandler sends him in the corner. You see James Wallace, 67. He's got the toe leg broken. That's a required 8-minute repair and for his crew members to that car. But that just to me looked like Jake just missed the braking point and came through and hit the left rear pretty hard there on Jeff Chandler and sent him around to turn number 1.
Yeah, and you know something too, Jeremy, what it looked like right there going into turn number 1 is, yes, the 29 definitely overcooked it going into turn number 1, but I don't think he thought that the 31 of Jeff Chandler was going to come down right into the lane. And I'm not saying that Jeff Chandler cut him off. I just think that the 29 wanted to have that line coming into the corner. He expected Jeff Chandler to kind of stay up there instead of go in between from the middle to the bottom lane. And unfortunately, the two of them just met. You could fault it on Jeff Chandler. You could fault it on Jake Euler. I mean, at the end of the day, that's a really, really common mistake that we've seen here at Richmond. I mean, even last night, you saw it with Josh Berry and Daniel Suarez. After the race, they had a heated discussion, and Josh Berry got to the corner really low. Daniel Suarez wanted to protect. Josh didn't expect him to come down, and Daniel Suarez obviously went around off the front bumper of the Sonny D Ford Mustang Dark Horse machine of Josh Berry. But they were able to maintain and get back there and still run it out towards the finish of the race. And that's what you saw right there. But unfortunately for them, that is not a Daniel Suarez, Josh Berry type situation. Jeff Chandler's car is absolutely destroyed. And we mentioned again, Jeremy, one of those drivers, Jeff Chandler, coming into tonight, led over 206 laps in the second race here last year at Richmond, but wrecked late, but he still came back to finish 6th. And that was when Jeff Chandler was kind of still really, in a sense, Jeremy, I want to say it was probably a few starts after he finally made his way into the Mach 1 Performance Cup Series here for FTSR, was still kind of, working things out, getting his bearings right and stuff like that. And he had a lot of fast cars, a lot of fast races back then, just couldn't close one out. And then when he finally did, he started being really consistent. But so far this season, it has not been a season to remember so far here, as we're about 6-7 races into this season for Jeff Chandler.
And part of that as well is these guys here at FTSR, the fast guys have gotten faster, right? And then you got Nathan Bigart coming into 2024 and just absolutely just being the showcase in the field each and every single week. Almost every single race out of the 6 starts have been a top 10 finish. He's got 1 win, very, very strong contention to be the second multi-winner in the 2024 A season here. But it's just the guys have just gotten so good that are up in the front. Daniel Simmons right behind him. I've been watching him for, or not, that's not 98, but Daniel Simmons has been really fast in the 06. He's been continuing to get better and better. TJ Bartell, to me, was more like, middle of the pack, maybe a top 5 contender than, back half of 2023, now 2024. He's been a really strong car as well. And so the guys just getting a little bit better and better, and it's just creating some awesome competition. And, someone has to drop out of the top because of that. And Jeff Chandler just, minus the wrecks like that one, that last caution, he's just got to find a little bit extra speed in that car.
And we'll see what he can do. He's 1 lap down on the racetrack, sitting in 19th. He'll be battling Colby Mice here for the Lucky Dog Award coming up here in about 11 laps or so. Pace car is going to dip down on the pit lane this time by. TJ Bartell will start alongside here, or restart alongside Nathan Bigart. He'll fire off through the Geico restart zone. Bigart gets a great restart here, 11 laps to go in stage number 1. Joseph Grajava wants it. He'll go to the outside, but goes way wide in the corner, almost gives up the bottom completely, and Nathan Bigart tries to sail away as they head into free.
He's got a great chance here. The 0-6. Here comes Simmons to the inside of TJ Bartell. Coming up to 10 laps to go here before stage in. Bartell tries to cut the corner. Oh no, Richie Coy's got some massive damage. Simmons, here comes the 14 to lay down. Tony Solari barely squeaks by. Everybody else really checking up to get around here. And it just looked like he wanted to turn down and cut the nose to save the position. Did not have the room. And that's going to bring out the 5th caution here already before the end of stage 1.
And these are really heavy hitters right here, Jeremy. As we take a look here at the replay on LSRTV, you're going to see them come off at turn 4. And I got to just watch it one more time before I say anything, because it looked like, again, the 98 wanted to come down. No room. He tried to thread the needle, and I don't think he expected the 06 to be down there. But at this point in the race, Jeremy, you just got to be more aware of a situation like that. You don't want to put yourself in a bad position. Unfortunately for the 98, he put himself in the worst position possible, and he takes out a ton of cars going down into turn number 1.
Yeah, that's all it was. I mean, these guys are being a little bit too aggressive, I think, early on. We're almost to stage end, right? So you have a pit stop coming in 10 laps. I don't think it was necessarily the right call to try to thread the needle being inside the top 5 whenever you can just leave it to your pit crew to maybe advance you a spot or two, put you close to that podium position for stage 2 start. And so just cut a little too close, made the contact, and once the contact happened, that his car, the 98, just lost all grip. And then so him and the 06 came together once more. It looks like TJ's right front was disconnected from the toe link, so that's going to be another required repair. I think Richie's lost a bumper for sure. I don't know if he had any tire damage on his end, so I'll be kind of curious on that, as he currently sits on 10th place on my leaderboard here. But I was telling you about the short runners of what you need to do. I've been watching these times. Brian Bliss has been up 10 to 15 positions on these short runs here. Jose Acosta was already at 5th at one point, so he was up 20 positions at one point. So it's just, there's a lot of strong movers. Brian Dubois in the 37, he's up 13 spots. Tony Solari, after being involved in that first wreck, I thought his car was done, but nope, he's in 5th place right now, up 16 spots.
And Jeremy, here's a really interesting stat that we don't really talk about a lot when it comes to FTSR, is the incident points. And last week at COTA, me and Charles talked about how many off-tracks these guys had throughout the race. And they don't really necessarily count for incident points like they do with wall contact or car-to-car contact here on the sim racing, or in this virtual world here on iRacing. But listen to this. Richie Coy, coming into tonight, only had 28 incident points. Your points leader, Nathan Bigart, the guy leading this race, has almost about a little bit more than what he did. It was 36. Out of everybody in the top 5, Richie Coy was the only one still in the 20s, and there was only one other driver inside the top 10 in points who had less than him, and it was 27. And if I could go and see who that was, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let me go to 7th here in the points. That would be Jose Acosta, who has 27 incident points coming into tonight. And Richie Coy is not a guy who really gets involved in many incidences. And I mean, that was nothing of his doing there. But for Richie Coy, I mean, if he wants to keep competing for a title, he's got some more competition this year than probably he's ever had compared to what we saw last season through season A, B, and C. I mean, it has been a solid season for the driver of the 19 so far. But I mean, early on here, if he wants to get a season 2023 or 2024 A championship, he's got to try to not get involved in stuff like that.
Well, he's currently sitting in 13th place on the tower that I'm looking at, so I think he's going to be okay. He doesn't have the front downforce. That bumper came off the car. I don't know if the pit crew put a new one on or not, but he might be driving a modified the rest of tonight's race here at Richmond. So this is a whole new ball game for him. Hey, well, I kind of see him on the corner. He's got a new front bumper somehow, so congrats to the team for getting one put on. It looks pretty clean, too, so he actually might be okay. We're going to see here. We got 4 laps left in this stage here. So another short run coming, guaranteed caution. Will be the 6th one here. Let's see if we can make it all the way to the Geico restart zone. And here we go. Nathan gets a pretty decent jump over the number 12, Jose Grijalva. as he's going to clear him, and Brian Dublé on the top here peeking for P3 once more.
Only a few laps to go in stage number 1. Joseph Grajava wants it. Colton Gum wants it more. He's hungry there in that Toyota Camry XSU machine. Down into turn number 3. Tries to close the gap up to him. Chris Beck doing a fantastic job in this 44 here tonight. He finds himself in the top 10. There's Brian Dublé, one of the drivers involved in one of the earlier incidents, fighting alongside Tony Solari, who as well has been involved in some incidents here tonight as they hit the backstretch.
Pretty clean through this portion of the track, coming through turns 3 and 4. I love seeing a lot of 2x2 here. We've had almost no issues, but Bill Hull gets really loose there off of turn 4. Looks like he's able to collect it, but he's going to lose quite a few spots there. Down 2 now from the starting position, come through turn 1 and 2 once more. Pretty clean this time, and it looks like Tony Solari is now going to tack under the 37 of Brian Dublé for P4.
Final lap in stage number 1 here on lap number 50. Stage caution will come out at the end of this one. Nathan Bigart has a gap of about 0.2 of a second over Joseph Grajava. The rest of the field battles behind him as you see this awesome battle between Solari and Brian Dublé for the 4th position. Nathan Bigart will pick up stage number 1, and Solari tried to get to Dublé. He's not going to be able to do it, and after everybody crosses the line, especially the top 10, the caution will come out here for the completion of stage number 1, with Nathan Bigart picking it up right where he left off last week from Coda. So he has now won 3 stages in a row here. 2nd, Joseph Grajava. 3rd goes to Colton Gum. 4th, Brian Dublé. Tony Solari, Jake Euler, your top 6. Then Jose Acosta, Chris Beck, Richie Coy, Dave Nestor, your top 10. So, Jeremy, pretty interesting top 10 here in this first stage, despite all the wrecks we had.
Yeah, did you see the line that Brian Dublé took there on the last lap in turn 1?
Yeah.
He went all the way up to the outside wall, cut it back down. He gave up center, of course, because of the wider corner entrance. But, man, that corner exit, he was about 5 miles an hour faster, was able to re-clear Solari there before turn number 3 and had himself set up great for turn 3 and 4. So I've been really curious to know if there's ever going to be a 2nd or 3rd groove here at Richmond once more, but it looks like Brian Dublé has found it there right at the end of the stage.
Yeah, and before we go to commercial here for just a second, notice how a lot of these drivers have stayed out inside this top 10. Bigart, Grajava, Gum, Acosta, Hull, Johnson. All drivers inside the top 10 to top 15 who decided to stay out, probably due to the amount of cautions we had. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. We're going to step aside, take a commercial break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for the start of stage number 2. This is the FTSR Mach 1 Performance Cup Series on LSRTV.
Of speed, 10 years of stories. For the past 10 years, we've been more than just spectators. We've been the heartbeat of local racing, growing alongside the tracks, drivers, and fans who make it all possible. From the dusty turns to the checkered flags, we've shared every triumph and every challenge, making memories that last a lifetime. As we mark this milestone, we're not just looking back, we're revving up for the future. We are expanding, bringing you even more racing, more coverage, and more ways to connect with the adrenaline-fueled world we love. Our commitment to the local racing community is unwavering, and the next chapter promises to be our most exciting yet.
Welcome back to LSRTV's coverage of the FTSR Mach 1 Performance Cup Series. Just wrapped up stage number 1. Nathan Bigart winning his 3rd stage in a row. Swept him at Coda. He'll pick up stage number 1. A few drivers stayed out under that first caution. Not first caution, rather, but after the stage caution came out. Bigart, Grijalva, Gum, Acosta, Hull, and Johnson all elected to stay out. So the top 3 rows came in. And we'll talk about that here in just a second, as we're getting ready to come to the restart zone for stage number 2. iRacing pace car will take the left turn down pit road. And just like that, Nathan Bigart's going to fire out of the restart zone. And Joseph Grijalva gets a solid restart. Could jump to the bottom if he wants to. And Bigart's going to lead him down into turn number 1. Gum, though, hard on the inside. The 12 gets a little tight. Opens up the door for a lot of them as they spread out down the back.
That was a really close 3 wide moment there. Jose Acosta in the middle, able to back it down and not cause a 3 wide issue on the back straightaway, where turn 2 has been the very, very tricky corner so far for the first 55 plus laps here this evening. And they got just under 200 laps left through turn number 2 back straightaway. Looks like everybody but your leaders are 2x2x2. And look at this Nathan breakout here. He's got almost 10 car lengths over the second place Jose Grijalva here on the front straightaway on lap 58. That's a pretty safe distance, I would say, early on here.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. As we're coming up, this is going to be 40 laps to go. Not this time by, but next time will be 40 to go in stage number 2. Bigart just ran the fast lap of the race last time by, 21.706. Everybody in the 22s or even 21.8, so nobody touching the 01 machine so far here tonight. Not even a change for the race lead, really. Oh, Bill Hull loose off turn number 2, gathers it back up, goes side to side, swings the back end out, loses a ton of spots. They're going to go 3 wide for a moment entering turn number 3. They gather it back up, go to 2 wide, and Bill Hull now tries to slot in position as he battles with Chris Beck and Brian Dublé entering turn number 1.
Man, Bill's been fighting a loose car all night long here. I've seen him loose off of turn 2, off of turn 4, does not matter. He's got that thing dialed up for the long run. He just needs one to have that car tighten up and maybe have a strong run here late in the going. But this restart looks to be a lot cleaner than what we've seen for the first 61 laps now out of the scheduled 250. We're looking on board here, the number 11, Tony Solari, off of turn number 2, right behind the 57 here of Joshua Johnson. And you can see the spacing in front. These guys have taken note of stage 1, and it looks much cleaner, much more spaced out here at the beginning of stage 2.
Yeah, definitely a lot more spaced out, a lot cleaner, Jeremy, like you had mentioned. And again, Nathan Bigart still holding that race lead over Joseph Grijalva by about 4 to 4.5 tenths of a second right now. It's about single file up until you get back to Brian Dublé and Lane Allen going side by side. They're going to be contact.
Oh, no,
Allen up into the
mind.
wall. Chris Beck gets collected. The field scrambles, tries to get it slowed down. Will anybody else hit them? It looks like the field will get through safely. But we saw them going side by side, Jeremy, and it just so happens to be the first cars that are side by side battling, and it all started here coming down the front straightaway a lap later, and it looks like the 14 just unfortunately came up into the 37, I believe.
Yeah, Flying Tiger Motorsports also with the 4 and 44 having issues. Chris Beck involved in this one. Chad Lang looks like did not have great luck on that last one and parked about 15, 20 laps ago. But here we go up to turn 4. Lane Allen, just came up top in front of Brian Dublé, who's had a really strong, promising run here so far at Richmond, and just nowhere to go for that 37, and a couple of other guys involved. So just heavy damage. You see multiple cars without front fenders here, and yeah, that car looks like it's trashed there on the suspension side too. So a lot of heavy damage to be repaired on that number 14 Tracker Boat Chevrolet.
Yeah, major damage to the number 37 and the 14 machine. And Lane Allen was one of the drivers, too, who I believe I had circled. Had a good finish in one of the races here last year, but unfortunately Jeremy, it seems like the drivers who I at least had, I mean, me and you both have the same set of notes here. I mean, most of the drivers I pegged here tonight that look to be really good have had some sort of issue. Nathan Bigart's probably the only one I haven't seen really involved in a wreck. I mean, Daniel Simmons, I think he's been okay. I think Ryan Hedrick's been okay too, but everybody else has had a lot of issues here tonight besides these top 3 to top 5 drivers.
It doesn't matter. We've seen the people up front have issues, people in the back, people in the middle. It's just, it does not matter. It just seems like all these cars are just on edge. And so at what point do you go, okay, I need to stop dialing in for the long run. I need to just put this thing on a tighter setup for this short run to get yourself geared up for what it looks like to be a very, very restart-filled race, as we're only 70 laps in. What is it, 7 cautions now, I do believe. So I saw the 3 car come for the wave around. He's going to be back on the lead lap, by the way. Brian Bliss will be the tail end of your lead lap. It looks like in 15th place. And that car, there's a lot of cars look like him without a front bumper.
Yeah, and there's your Virginia811.com race summary so far. 8th caution of the night working on at 39 laps of cautions. That's half of the distance that we've completed so far tonight here, whether it be green or under the yellow flag. And Jeremy, you mentioned the short run, and this is what we were going to talk about here when I said we were going to talk about it in a short notice, is drivers like Bigart, Grahava, Gum, and a few others, they elected to stay out because of the distance we ran under green flag conditions in Stage 1. I mean, do you think these guys are probably going to hold out all the way to the end of Stage 2 and then finally pit?
I mean, I don't know if it's necessary for them to do that. I don't know exactly how many sets of tires they get, but I feel like you can use 1 set per stage and be fine. Maybe keep a secondary set for the 150 laps on Stage 3. But I feel like maximize your grip. I know there's not too much tire wear compared to the previous generations of the Cup car, but it's still a short track. It still eats up the tires, and you want to do what you can there. So maybe they're playing the game of there's going to be a lot of cautions up front. We're going to save and not pit, and if we get a bunch of cautions on the back, maybe we can change tires late in the going and be okay toward the end.
Going to be 31 laps to go when we come back around this time by to take the green flag here, working under the 8th caution of tonight here from the short track in Richmond, Virginia. Nathan Bigart still the race leader like he has been all night long. Won stage number 1 over Joseph Grahava. A few of them stayed out under the caution at the end of stage number 1. What will stage 2, or at least the remaining portion of stage 2, hold for us? They're about to come into the Geico restart zone this time by and fire off out of it right there. Bigart elects to go late like he's done all night long. Colton Gum gets a great restart right there to the inside of Joseph Grahava, and look who's up to 4th despite being involved in 1 to 2 incidents tonight. Jose Acosta, the man who was trying to run down Nathan Bigart 1 week ago, got the win taken away from him at Phoenix, won at Bristol, trying to get his 2nd win of the season so far as he tries to work around Colton Gum.
Really racy restart this time here, except for the top 2, and it looks like the 10 of Gum is going to pass and clear Jose Acosta, but it protects the bottom as Jose gets a decent run off a corner exit, and it looks like they're still going to remain 2x2 here on the front straightaway. And yeah, this is a much racier restart than what we saw in the last one here. Bunch of side-by-side still going on. It looks like Richie Coy pushes up a little bit. Oh, and right behind other 36 gets really loose. Thankfully, there's no one above him, and he's going to make a lot of cars move to the inside as he gets back up to speed.
Colby Mice, one of the cars who is probably the first one lap down. He is 2, but in position to get the Lucky Dog Award to go 1 lap back at least. He avoided the 36 of Dave Nestor coming off turn number 2. Looked like it was going to be contact, but they did not make any whatsoever. They head back into turn number 3 now. Here comes Tony Solari, gets up into the 51 of Bill Hull, nearly on corner exit. They remain side by side as they run down. Oh, Solari had to check up. Believe he made some contact with the left rear quarter panel of Hull coming into turn number 1 through the tri-oval. They go 3 wide almost for a minute. Richie Coy trying to find his way back up towards the front despite the damage on the nose of the 19 machine.
Yeah, tough angle to see if there was contact, but it was definitely really close. He did the smart thing to back out, almost backed out too much, and created a little havoc there for the few cars behind him. Now roll through turn number 1 this time. Tony Slurry finds himself in that second to third groove here. Doesn't have the rotation like the 37 had earlier, enough to get the nose advantage over Daniel Simmons into turn number 3. And it looks like turn 3 and 4, the cars on the top, well, minus that time as he gets in the wall a little bit, seem to have the speed on corner exit, Jason. It almost looks like you want to be in that second to third groove in 3 and 4. Richie gets loose in front of his teammate. Tony Slurry is going to check up number 6. He goes to the inside for the pass.
Yeah, Daniel Simmons nearly ran into the back of Tony Solari on corner exit. Now finally gets underneath the 11 Menards Mustang down the front straightaway into turn number 1. And Jeremy, you mentioned that outside lane. The only thing that really worries me the most is burning up that right front, and especially that right rear on corner exit. You don't usually want to be up there off turn number 4. Yes, you can have the drive off, but you just wear out that right front so much, or rather right rear, when you come off that corner driving on the outside like Solari's doing.
I guess it's really dependent on the setup, and you definitely can, because iRacing registers that tire heat and the faster speeds as tire wear. So the higher you run up, the more tire wear you're naturally going to produce on the iRacing service. So, but if your car is really loose and just over-rotating on the bottom, moving the car up a lane or so, introducing extra speed into the suspension might tighten it up a little bit. And so that way you can kind of find a balance of rotation without having to use too much of that right front. So it really all depends on what kind of setup you have underneath the car right now. But these guys have really kind of single filed out and spaced out. So as long as they can keep, you know, a balance underneath all of these cars here for the next 10 or 15 laps, I think we might see our breakout green flag run.
Yeah, this very well could be the breakout green flag run that we need. This time by, there will be 20 laps remaining in stage number 2. And Nathan Bigart still holding the race lead over Joseph Grajava by about 0.4 of a second. And they're pretty much running the same pace almost. Actually, Grajava was faster that time around by nearly a whole 1/10 of a second over Nathan Bigart, but the gap's still remaining the same. So something tells me, Jeremy, that number 12 machine might be able to compete with the 01 of Bigart on the long run, possibly. I'm interested to see what these two drivers will do to their cars at the end of stage 2 and how they'll react in stage 3 if we get that long green flag run.
Yeah, this is homework time right now. If we do remain green all the way until lap 100 at the stage caution, it'll definitely tell you who's got the car that's going to be able to compete for this win on the long runs if it were to go green toward the back half of this race. And so right now, Bigart and Grajava seem to be the two cars. But yeah, I think I agree with you a little bit. The 12 is starting to catch the number 01 here in some parts of the track. It's on corner exit, just kind of loses it a little bit, but he's able to drive it in a little bit deeper, kind of maintain it a little bit, so a little bit different style of attacks in these corners as Grajava actually gains a 0.5 there on this lap and able to maintain it, just kind of creeping in there slowly but surely. It might be a really close race here near lap 100.
Coming up next time by, it'll be 16 laps to go in stage 1, and I can only imagine, Jeremy, that the fans and family of Joseph Grajava are cheering him on. They're always commenting, saying that El Paso is watching, probably the trademark. If I were Joseph Grajava, I'd put that on my back bumper, is that El Paso is watching. So Joseph, if you go back and watch this race, definitely put that on the back bumper of your car for the next race. If you could just put El Paso is watching in quotations, because it's something that the family always says when they watch Joseph race. And tonight's been such a great race for him, Jeremy. Again, with the speed, he just lost about 0.3 here the last lap or so. But this 12 machine has been putting on probably the best performance he's had so far in the series.
It definitely looks like it by the stats showing up on FTSR.net. But look at this number 48, Jose Acosta, who's now put himself in position number 4 here on lap 86. Involved in some of the early wrecks here, had to drop back to get things repaired, touched up. And now he's driven that car all the way inside the top 5 in P4. And so this might be a sleeper pick just because he's been trying to recover from the early wrecks in this race. hasn't had a lot of green flag time to do so, but we finally got a long green flag run going, and Jamie Knopp here, your upside winner of the 2024 season, really showing some muscle here on this run.
Yeah, Jamie Knopp having a great rebound. I believe he was involved in one of the incidents early on in that Team Conti Chevy Camaro ZL1 machine. Same could be said for Jose Acosta. They've been able to get around some of the drivers who pretty much stayed up inside the top 5 all night long, like Colton Gum, who started 6th, finds himself currently in the 5th spot, under fire now from Richie Coy, who was involved in one of those earlier incidents going down the front straightaway. You see the damage to the left front of the 19 machine, a little bit on the right side, but this 19 machine, Jeremy, despite having that damage, he's still wheeling and dealing out here.
Yeah, the team put a new front clip on that car, and it looks really clean, a little pushed in on the left front nose, but some scrapes here doesn't affect you at all. It's really depending on how well your fenders are. If they're flared out and creating that downforce you need, then you're going to be good to go, and it looks like the car has what it needs here, running in 6th place and just ever so slightly getting closer and closer to Colton Gunn. But now he's in that little aero lock position to where the car is starting to be a little bit tighter, and we don't have the air on the nose, so he's going to have to change his lane up maybe about a half a nose to the inside or the outside of the 10 here. Looks to have it on corner entrance number 3, just doesn't have it. 10's going to close that door, and he's going to have 8 more laps to try to get around Colton Gum.
He is definitely faster than Colton Gum right now. It's just that aero dependency here at these short tracks with this Gen 7 car, Jeremy, that we talked about. Whenever you close the gap up in front of you, it becomes so hard, unless the driver in front of you makes some sort of mistake there, like you saw the 10 machine make on corner exit. Got a little tight. Richie Coy had a great exit off turn number 2. He'll have a great exit here coming off turn number 4, but Colton Gum still battles back to the outside. Richie's finally going to be able to complete that pass, but Colton Gum puts the bumper to the 19 machine. Tried the crossover move, but Richie had a great center and a great exit. He'll hold that 5th spot for the time being. Richie Coy trying to make his comeback inside the top 5. Remember, started up in the 2nd or 3rd position, so he is slowly but surely finding his way back up inside this top 5 like he just did. Now trying to run down Jamie Knopf in that 48 machine. Remember, those two also battled in what would be probably one of the greatest races in FTSR's history at Las Vegas, dueling it out the last 20 laps. Richie thought he had it, burnt up the tires. Jamie Knopf got by him with about 2 laps to go, was able to set sail for his victory in this season, doing a great job, and now they're about to be duking it out here for some stage points closing in.
Yeah, it just took Colton Gum one shift of the lane in turn number 1 about 30 laps ago to allow the 19 to get to the inside with that fresh air on the nose. Took full advantage of it, and you get to see he took off like a rocket ship past Colton, and now he's got his eye set on the 48, but same thing. He's within like 3 car lengths right now, and the car just seems to tighten up. He had the grip up to that point, but now he's in that aero position. You see the car just really wash up there in corner center. Coming to turn number 4 and have to give up over a 10th or 2 of position on the track here with 4 laps to go. He has to get that nose in fresh air, or else he's just going to be kind of stuck here. These guys get faster and faster as he gets closer to the guys up for the 1st and 2nd place, so you just really need this car to rotate. You need to shift up your lane just a little bit to be able to compete with these guys up front.
Yeah, you definitely have to obviously work your line, work the car, whatever it may be, to try to compete. As you see Richie Coy trying to close that gap in, like we mentioned on Jamie Knopf, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. He's going to need some sort of miracle possibly here within these next 2 laps as they hit lap number 99. 2 laps to go in the stage. Nathan Bigart trying to make it 4 stages in a row. The last 2 weeks swept them at Coda. Started on the pole, went on to win the race, leading 40 laps. Tonight he has led way more than 40 laps for sure. And he's already won stage 1, and he's trying to win stage 2 here. And he's on the 1 lap to go signal here for stage number 2. So Jeremy could possibly maybe do back-to-back, sweeping the stages, starting on the pole and winning.
Yeah, he has the car to do it. 1.5 seconds separates 1st and 2nd place. So we thought the 12 of Joseph was going to have the chance, but this long run is showing otherwise. Nathan has the car, and there he is passing the line on lap 100, so he will be officially your stage winner, stage 2 that is. So he's got one more stage to go, and he can clean sweep everything here. As he gets to turn 3 before the cautions flow, and that means the final car has crossed the line. We can throw the flag, and there it is. The 0-1's going to be scored as stage 2 winner. Great job so far from the number 0-1.
Bigart, Grahava, Acosta, Knopf, Coy, your top 5. Gum, Hull, Solari, Simmons, Euler, your top 10 here so far for stage number 2. What will stage 3 bring us? Nathan Bigart, pole sitter last week, pole sitter this week, swept stages last week, sweeps them again this week. All he's missing now is another victory to make it a basically mirror image of what was 1 week ago at COTA. These guys are going to come to the attention of their pit crews. We'll step away for just a quick second. We'll be right back. You don't want to miss the start of stage number 3. It's going to get good. We'll be right back after this.
Drag race to the line!
Years of speed, 10 years of stories. For the past 10 years, we've been more than just spectators. We've been the heartbeat of local racing, growing alongside the tracks, drivers, and fans who make it all possible. From the dusty turns to the checkered flags, we've shared every triumph and every challenge, making memories that last a lifetime. As we mark this milestone, we're not just looking back, we're revving up for the future. We are expanding, bringing you even more racing, more coverage, and more ways to connect with the adrenaline-fueled world we love. Our commitment to the local racing community is unwavering, and the next chapter promises to be our most exciting yet.
Welcome back to LSRTV's coverage of the FTSR Mach 1 Performance Cup Series live from the Richmond Raceway in the Commonwealth in Richmond, Virginia, getting ready to start stage number 3. Everybody has come down to the service of their pit crews to take that first set of Goodyear Eagles if they had not, and that being Nathan Bigart finally decided to put a set on that number 01 machine. Going to be starting alongside Joseph Grahava. Row number 2, Jose Acosta, Colton Gum. Row 3, you will find Daniel Simmons, or rather, actually Colton Gum and Tony Solari. Row 2 will go to Jose Acosta, and I believe that is Jamie Knopf in the 48 machine. So here we go, coming to the restart zone. Nathan Bigart going to fire out of it late like he's done all night long. And they're going to head down to turn number 1. Jose Acosta finally has the opportunity. Oh, no, and he almost runs into the back of the 01. He goes wide up the racetrack, sends Joseph Grahava up into the wall on corner exit. Man, Jeremy, if I'm the 12 machine, I am not happy with the 24 after that.
I couldn't tell if that was his fault in turn number 2 or not there, but he definitely tank slapped the wall there for sure. He's going to lose a lot of speed in that 12 early on in this run, but my pick is that number 24, This is the first time we're going to see him in semi-clean area. Oh, it's the 12 Joseph again hits the wall back-to-back times really hard off corner exit turn 2. He's going to give that position up to the 10. Tries to cut down in front of the 48 there, cannot. But once again, the 12 into the wall. He is having some trouble right now early in stage 3.
Yeah, definitely having some trouble early on here, as you saw him just slap the wall not once but twice the last 2 laps here as they work around 3 and 4. Joseph went from 2nd back to 4th. He tries to battle back to the bumper of Colton Gum, but he is falling to the front bumper of Jamie Knopf, and then his teammate Daniel Simmons from LA Motorsports right behind him. So the 2 LA drivers running 5th and 6th on the racetrack. Everybody single filed out right now. Richie Coy, the only one who was about side by side back there, finds himself 1 lap down in the 12th position and battling Brian Bliss for the lucky dog position if the caution were to come out. But Jose Acosta here, Jeremy, we thought this 12 machine might have something for the 01 on the long run. It didn't look like it worked. As you see the 12 move to the inside of Gum entering turn number 3. Jose Acosta, though, maybe a long run, but short run speed, man, he is almost there. Only back by about 0.2 of a second right now as they head into 1 and 2.
This is the clean look of see who's going to be able to. Oh, as the 10 of Colton Gum really pinches off corner entrance there for Jamie Knopf. Able to clear him, but man, that was so close for the 10 to be getting looped around in turn 1 and 2. And just looks like the 48 Knopf just rotating a little bit better than Colton there on corner exit 4. He's going to take another look to the inside, but Colton's going to give him tons of room this time. Going to try to do a quick drop down there, timed it a little too early. Then he had to back it down, and now here comes Daniel Simmons on the attack. We've got a spin in the back here off turn number 2 once again. No caution yet. It was at least 1 car, but we stayed green at the time.
Yeah, it might have been Tony Solari there in the number 11 machine. We'll have to take a look back at the replay and see who it was coming off turn number 2. You saw them sideways, and again, we will take a look. And in fact, it was Tony Solari, but he just nags the wall coming down the back straightaway, but he's able to save it, only loses a few spots, and Jeremy doesn't look like that left side of the car is really that badly damaged here. He's still going, but you could only imagine those tires probably hurt from that slide.
Yeah, it looks like maybe the left rear pushed in just a touch. The left front made some contact, but really that carbon composite body really held up well on that slap there. So the left front seems fine, but look at this. Jose Acosta finally going to take a look to the inside after I thought maybe he's going to push him all through the front straight over, drive that entrance just a touch. It's going to make Nathan check up just a little bit here. Now halfway down the back straightaway into turn number 3. Jose's got the best chance here to take the first lead change here tonight. Drag race to the line, and just by so close of a margin, looks like Nathan was able to take it that lap.
That was so close coming off turn number 4 between the 2 drivers, driving with a full head of respect. And while they're side by side, Joseph Rojava, Jamie Knopf, and Daniel Simmons starting to try to reel in the 2 leaders as they come off turn number 4, still side by side. Jeremy, it looks like Jose is so good on entry, but this 01 machine is just so strong on corner exit, and it's really hurting him, honestly, being up there because he's using a lot more of the tire.
He is, though, but right now I'm super impressed with the 2nd to 3rd lane here at Richmond in these next-gen cars. He's just on corner exit. He's able to rotate as Jose finally gets that first lead change scored tonight, leading 1 lap so far. But the way that Nathan can rotate center to exit and not have to check up for that wall coming on, especially turn number 2, he's able to keep the throttle down a little bit more than any single driver out here, maybe other than Jose Acosta. As right there, turns 4, he just completely destroyed Jose as far as the amount of grip and amount of speed he was able to carry off the corner exit. And now Jose, once again, has to try to find his way around it. And brought in the number 12. He checked himself mentally. He got himself going, and I thought his car was toast, but nope, he's back in there. 3-car battle for the race lead.
Jose Acosta gave a little bit of a bumper to Nathan Bigart last time around, entering the center of 1 and 2, and now he's only back by about a car length or so, going through 1 and 2 this time. 24, great exit off the corner, closes up right to the rear bumper of the 01 almost as they head into 3 now. Joseph Grajava just waiting for his opportunity to pounce if these two get side by side once again. And no more stage breaks. We got through those 2 stages. Now it's clean and green. That's if they can go clean and green to the rest of the way if we do have another caution. But Jeremy, these guys have to pit at least one more time in this race for fuel, and they're going to have some tires on for sure. And last year we saw it late in the race. As you see, the 24 close right up to the bumper again. But last year's race, we had a late caution. Tony Solari ended up picking up the victory after electing to come down to the pits. And it's going to be a strategy race probably for sure. You see the 01 travel up the racetrack, nearly tags the outside wall. Jose Acosta goes back to the inside of the racetrack. They'll duel it out here as they come off turn 4 for the race lead.
Nathan gives up entry just a touch, able to rotate the car into a straighter corner exit, which is really helping that 01 keep this race lead, because he knows if Jose gets to that point, single file, that 24 car is gone. So he's doing all he can to protect at least this battle here, as Joseph Grajava is just kind of waiting to see what happens this time as he gets a little tight off turn 4 himself. But yeah, Acosta has to do something a little bit different because Nathan's just so strong there in that second groove.
So strong on that second groove, but gets way loose. Oh, Nathan Bigart up and into a wall off turn number 2. The dominant car of the night finds the outside wall final, and it just so happens to come off the most treacherous corner here at Richmond. Tags the outside wall, goes from first to third, right behind Joseph Grajava and Jose Acosta. Loved what he saw, and now he's trying to pull away from the 12 and the 01.
That right front is really pushed in there. That's going to affect them aerodynamically, take away some of that downforce. Nathan needs to get around this Richmond Raceway, but man, just got a little bit too loose, and it's so easy to overcorrect to the right in these Gen 7 cars. But it doesn't look like it's hurting him too bad at the moment. He's able to maintain pace. A little bit hesitation and a little bit too wide of a corner exit turn number 2 once more. So right there, it looks like turn 3 and 4 is a little bit okay, but 1 and 2, Nathan's kind of struggling at the moment after that wall contact.
Yeah, definitely some big contact for sure out of the 01 of Nathan Bigart. And he does, in fact, Jeremy, like you mentioned, have that right front pushed in. That is going to be huge for the driver of the 01 machine. And we've seen how much that right front fender being pushed in on a short track will affect the cars. It affected these drivers at Bristol. It for sure will affect them here tonight at Richmond, especially with these turns being so sweeping and you're going so slow around them than trying to get up through the gears. And, you know, it's just something that you can't make a mistake. And unfortunately for the 01, battling so hard with Jose Acosta, someone had to give, and unfortunately the 01 machine finally gave. It made his only mistake all night long. And I mean, Jeremy, despite that damage, he's still running faster than Joseph Grajava. Last time around, he wasn't as fast, but I mean, if you're the 01 of Nathan Bigart, he's probably got to be kicking himself in the head.
This is where you just have to settle in and say, hey, I made a mistake, but I got to take care of it. He knows that 12 made a mistake there on the stage 3 restart, hitting that outside wall with Jose maybe having a little bit of influence there on turn 2. But now he's back to the point in second place, right? So maybe Bigart can do that. Actually, he goes back to P2 here. He just has to tell himself, I need to, just take care of my stuff here. We still got a lot of laps left as we're just past the halfway mark in this 250-lap race. So a lot can still happen here.
A lot can definitely still happen here as we work on lap 132. As you see, Nathan Bigart finally got past Joseph Grajava to move himself back in to the second position. Last time around, he was about 100th faster than Jose Acosta last time around. It might not seem like a lot, but on the long run, that could mean something big. We saw how good the 01 was under the long run circumstances over Joseph Grajava, how good Joseph was on the short run. We've seen how good Jose is on the short run. Jeremy, we're still yet to see that super long run. Maybe Jose Acosta doesn't have the long run car. Nathan Bigart still closing that gap in despite that right front damage.
Yeah, I think we're going to see this long run here. These guys are just continuing to space out throughout the field. So I think this will be definitely the run here. The longest green flag run we're going to see tonight. These guys are going to run the field dry. A couple of them, as we talked about in the pre-races, we might see them do that half and half where they're going to go on different fuel strategies. And we'll see if that short pit versus long pit will make or break someone's race here tonight. Big Art's kind of holding in there. We're looking at the 48 of Jamie Knopp, currently P4, 2 seconds back outside of that 24 car, with the 06 Daniel Simmons right there for the top 5 spot, and a little bit of a gap between him and the 19 of Richie Coy. A really shallow entrance there for the 48, but he's still able to rotate center and on exit just fine. So we're seeing a lot of different lines on corner entry here so far.
Yeah, a lot of different lines for sure. You see a few of them already up at the top of the racetrack, or at least that's Kyle Milliken, one of the drivers who is 12 laps down in the Oberon machine there up at the top of the racetrack, going another lap down. Still there in the 16th position, but everybody is either really kind of, Jeremy, running a little bit higher from the bottom on corner exit, or through the corner they're running a little bit up off the bottom, as you see Daniel Simmons try to work on his teammate Jamie Knopp coming down the back straightaway. That's the battle going on for 4th. Richie Coy behind them. Despite being 1 lap down, man, he has got top 5 speed, sitting there inside the top 15 in 12th, even though he is 1 lap down. If caution were to come out, he gets that lucky dog, gets the wave around, he'll be back on the lead lap for any of you Richie Coy fans. So even though he's been involved in some incidents here tonight, he's having a great comeback. All he needs is that 1 caution, and he's right back in this thing.
And right now he's got the pace to put himself back into 5th or 4th, or maybe even 3rd place here. Showing a little bit of steam here as we approach the midway of this fuel run, as he just gets a little bit closer and closer. The 06 Daniel Simmons able to just not get the corner exit like the 19 of Richie Coy is, and there's just a touch bit higher than him in this corner. Allows the 19 to get a little bit of air on that nose. Gets to the front straightaway here. He's creeping up just a little bit closer and closer, getting to that top 5 range, but I want to kick it back to the race leaders if we can. Big Art is back to 0.3, just 2 car lengths away from that 24 once again.
Right front damage or not, Nathan Bigard shows his strength here at Richmond Raceway tonight, trying to make it 2 wins in a row, trying to make it a sweep for not only the poles but the stages. Here comes Bill Hull into the pits this time by. Some damage on the right front. Looks like he will definitely be done, and he will. He'll take the tow back to his pit box, so Bill Hull looks to be probably done for the night, exits the car. But Nathan Bigart, like we said, despite that damage, man, Jeremy, he has got the long run speed, and he is chasing down Jose Acosta.
Oh, he really is here. Got a little bit of lap traffic now, starting to play a little bit of a factor in this race here, which is very common after 50 or 60 laps on a green flag run here at Richmond. But it is so close. You see Nathan really just utilizing the lane up, trying to get the downforce on that car where he can. And Jose tries to move up a little bit, but Nathan moves up even more. Had a lot of practice racing side by side with that 24, 20 laps ago. So he's kind of utilizing that, maybe doing something a little different here. Gets a great rotation there on center to exit this time. But that 24 had a great launch himself, able to keep that 2 to 3 car length advantage.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job. I mean, even though, you know, Jose Acosta has this race lead, I mean, Nathan Bigart with that damage is just shows how fast he is in that 01 machine. But Jose's doing a great job just keeping him at bay. He's just running a line that he needs to run. But eventually, Jeremy, when do you start trying to run a different line? And we know with these Gen 7 cars, you got to try to really just run the line that everybody's running, because these cars have so much grip here. Even though they've been so loose tonight, the bottom is the dominant line. If you're Jose Acosta, when Nathan Bigart closes that gap into where he's pretty much on your bumper, I mean, do you even move around?
You gotta need to. You saw him get really close, and then he had to shift his lane because he knows the aerodynamics are so important here. So you kind of have to know what you're doing. You gotta know what the car wants and needs, and also you gotta know what your competition's doing in front of you, which looks like Jose is protecting at least from the yellow line to the bottom white dashed line. So Nathan's going to either have to really drive it in deep, maybe make slight contact with the bumper for that in the classic bump and run, or just got to have to rotate the upper half of the corner, maybe take a playbook shot from 37 Brian Dublé. Remember I notated at the end of stage 1 where he kind of really went really high in turn 1, had a great launch down the back straightaway. You're going to have to do something a little bit different because Jose is just too strong right now in the front.
Yeah, and he is definitely too strong, and he probably for sure has that clean air advantage with that 24 machine. You see throughout the pack some other drivers who have made some great strides towards the front of this field. Joshua Johnson, one of these guys running inside the top 10, currently in 7th, despite having a few incidents here tonight. Doing a great job. Jake Euler as well, right behind him. In 8th, Tony Solari inside the top 10 in 9th. Colton Gums stays pretty much right where he's been all night, around that 5th to 6th spot. And, of course, Jamie Knopf and Jose Acosta, gaining more than 20 spots from where they started here in tonight's race at Richmond. And Jose is just doing such a great job out front. But Jamie Knopf, Jeremy, we talk about him. He is just such a strong car. He's had a strong season so far. Won the 2023 B race here. Led only 15 laps. But this is a guy who really could show some strength if given the right opportunity and the right scenario here towards the end of this race.
Yeah, no, he definitely can be a strong contender for at least 3rd, definitely a top 5 car, I would say, for sure. If you kind of look outside your top 2, 3rd through about 7th, or 6th rather, so 3, 4, 5, 6, they're pretty close in time, just about a second or so. Colton Gum kind of spaced out here as of reading. His car just got really tight in this long run. Then you see another grouping of cars, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, all within a couple seconds themselves. So a couple like semi-packs, if you will, are on this track. And it's 57, Joshua Johnson, he's 18 point now 19. He's a couple of seconds away from being lapped down. So that tells me there, Costa and Nathan, those 2 guys are going to come up to a decent amount of lap traffic here in the next probably 15 laps.
Yeah, lap traffic definitely going to play a factor, but I think, Jeremy, when the lap traffic's really going to play the biggest factor is like we saw last year late in the race. And I feel like, besides Bristol Motor Speedway, I mean, here at Richmond, and we even saw it in yesterday night's Cup race here. We saw it plague Martin Truex Jr. I mean, he nearly wrecked a couple times trying to pass some guys who were either a lap down, going a lap down, or multiple laps down. Oh, no, what has happened to Joshua Johnson? In the 57 machine, we were just talking about how good he was doing. Now he's on the pit lane. Looks like he's done for the night.
No front clip there. Maybe some right front damage to the suspension. It looks like it's a little pushed in. Oh, but maybe it was just a toe there. Well, here we go. We're going to see him up against the wall here in turn 1, 2. Yeah, his right front's pushed in. So there's something going on prior to that. We're going to kick it back a little bit further. Now he's got his front clip, so he lost it in this contact, whatever happened here. 1 and 2, nice and clean. Right behind the 10 here, gets a little, just like we saw with a couple other guys, the 35 and the 11, both, with the 29 also. Euler had some issue as well. I mean, the 57 is already injured, but that just put the icing on the cake for the 57 to come down pit road.
And I am very shocked that was not a caution, or at least more drivers really, is when these guys come down pit road and everybody's all over the racetrack, and just like that, it's not going to happen.
No.
Caution is out here on lap 158. So throw everything I said out the window. Forget about it. And just like that, we're under the caution here. I believe it is for the 9 of Colby Mice.
We'll see if we can get a replay on that. Here we are. He was on pit road, so very well could be. I really love this blue colored scheme that kind of fades into the teal at the front, but the looks on the car now is not going to be what it is here shortly. And he got loose on turn 2, did not correct it, and that wall just comes up in a hurry and just destroyed the front of that number 9 Ford Mustang. So that's going to put him on pit road for a little bit of time. And that was a really strong long run there. The second run's going to be less than 100 laps. So let's see this race on pit road. Can Nathan pass Jose, or will Jose take it here?
Yeah, we're about to find out here as Jose Acosta comes to the attention of his pit crew. 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles look like they are going to go on the Wolfpack Chevy Camaro, and they in fact will. Nathan Bigart, remember, all the way down the end of pit lane, down into turn number 1 practically. Jose is already outside the box.
Lucky dog for the 19.
Lucky dog for the 19 of Richie Coy, who will come to the attention of his pit crew. We're going to step away for just a quick second. Final commercial break of the evening, and we'll take you all the way to the finish. Jose Acosta leading over Nathan Bigart here at Richmond. We'll be right back after this.
racing family that you can trust on and off the track. Here at Hercules Foundation Repair, we are here to help with our free in-home evaluations and personal repair plans. So if you're looking for foundation repair, go online or give us a call to schedule your free inspection.
Years of speed, 10 years of stories. For the past 10 years, we've been more than just spectators. We've been the heartbeat of local racing, growing alongside the tracks, drivers, and fans who make it all possible. From the dusty turns to the checkered flags, we've shared every triumph and every challenge, making memories that last a lifetime. As we mark this milestone, we're not just looking back, we're revving up for the future. We are expanding, bringing you even more racing, more coverage, and more ways to connect with the adrenaline-fueled world we love. Our commitment to the local racing community is unwavering, and the next chapter promises to be our most exciting yet.
Welcome back to FTSR's coverage, or LSRTV's coverage here of the FTSR Mach 1 Performance Cup Series. Only missed one lap there from the restart. Nathan Bigart able to be side by side with Jose Acosta, battling for the race lead here in the closing laps with less than 100 laps to go, Jeremy, as they duel back into turns 3 and 4.
I love to see this race once more. They did a fantastic job going side by side on that last opening restart there to start stage 3. And once more, you guys are getting a great show of the 24 and the 01 hashing it out here, as the 12 maybe have slightly hit the wall there on corner exit turn 2. But Nathan had no problems, and we thought maybe he's going to overcook the right front. But he regrouped after the wall contact, found a way to regather himself back up and catch the 24. Now he knows how strong the 24 is. He really needs to keep this position here and not hit the wall once more.
And the right front definitely got a little bit of fixture probably under that last caution down pit road, but it's still pushed in. Could be hindering the 01, but not for long, as you see him try to go back to the race lead. Joseph Rahava back behind them, having a little bit of a connection issue. Keeps blinking in and out. We'll keep an eye on that. While these two journeys still dueling out down the back straightaway. It amazes me at how long they're able to stay side by side, but this time Jose Acosta uses the 01, drifts up the track, thought about trying to pinch him up, but it's going to work to the advantage of Nathan Bigart as he goes back to the race lead, closes the door entering turn 1.
And the amazing thing is the 12 of Grajava was not able to catch the 24 or the 01 while they were going side by side for, it felt like for a long time there, but they're finally single filed. And we're probably going to see some openings of gaps here amongst the top 3 and top 5. But Jose has the short run car. We know this, and he has a decent long run car. He just needs to find a way to once more to attack the 01, because we don't expect Nathan to have another mistake there.
I think for the 24 machine, Jeremy, it's going to have to be patience. If he wants to try to catch the 01, he's got to try to not really cook the tires as much. I mean, he was really good on that last long green flag run. What is he going to have for this one? What kind of adjustments did he make? What kind of adjustments did Nathan Bigart made? That's going to be the question I think we're all wondering up inside the booth right now, and especially for the viewers watching at home and listening, is can this 24 machine outduel the 01, who has been so dominant tonight, got to the wall a handful of laps ago, went from almost 4th all the way back to 1st, but Jose Acosta has just been right there the whole time, has not really let this 01 get away, whether it be the last restart or even this restart. This battle is far from over here as we close in on the final few laps.
It really is not here. It's going to be so easy to go back to this reference point over and over. This is for the race lead. Probably the most active battle on the track, other than maybe Coy and Solari teammates there. But really just fun thing to watch between Jose Acosta and Nathan Bigart here. Jose with a great exit turn 4, could potentially attack the inside, elects to not to do it. Gets really close to that back bumper and actually almost makes contact. That was so close, it's hard to tell if there was any contact whatsoever. But clean exit there on turn 2, back to turn 3 to the start-finish line. Jose is going to have another decent exit. I don't know if he's going to be able to attack this corner or not.
And we'll see how he does. And Charles Wooten's got a report for us on at least maybe another hot dog story for us here. Charles, what do you got for us this time down in the pits?
You know, usually I request to be brought in or get brought in for, the fun reports. This one, not such a fun report. We do just want to let everyone know from the production studio to the fans watching, if this broadcast abruptly gets shut off, we are in a tornado watch here at the studio. So, tornado's not fun. Me being taken away by a tornado, not fun either. So, if it abruptly shut off, well, one, I either made it to the safety of wherever I need to go, or two, we're riding tornadoes somewhere. So, just giving everyone a heads up. Hopefully it passes with no issue. But, some seriously bad weather in the area.
Yeah, I'm thankful I don't live in the Midwest and Texas there pretty much there. So, Charles, you keep safe, man. Keep us updated for sure. And again, like Charles mentioned, again, folks, if this broadcast does abruptly go off the air, we apologize, but it is because Charles Wooten in the production studio out in the Texas area is under tornado watch. So we'll try to see if we can get all the remaining laps in right now. Working lap 178 coming to 79. Out of 250 this time by. Battle up front, still far from over. Like we had just mentioned, Jose Acosta still back by about 15 tenths of a second, or rather a tenth and a half back from Nathan Bigard as they work back into 1 and 2. Jamie Knopf trying to catch Joseph Rahava here. Jeremy talked about how strong he is, possibly could make a comeback, and so far he's creeping up into the top 3 with his teammate right on his heels behind him.
Yep, it's becoming a really good battle here for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Just a few car lengths amongst each of these guys in the top 5, who've so far put on a really fun battle here. And Richie Coy just creeping back into the picture. We saw him with a pretty decent long-run car on that last stint, so I expect him to be up behind the number 06 here in the next 5, 10, maybe even 15 laps or so, as we're going to have, we're on lap 180 here, so it's going to be about 70 laps to go here in this event.
Yeah, going to be 70 laps to go here, and it's far from over. Jose Acosta still right there pressuring this 01 of Nathan Bigard. Already pressured him once into a mistake, causing the 01 to get up into the wall with the right front off turn number 2 many laps ago. But Nathan Bigard did not let that stop him, still holding the race lead, but Jose still able to put the pressure on the back of that Ford Mustang. And in fact, the 01 brushes the wall off turn number 2. Acosta could close through 3 and 4.
Minimize those mistakes. We're getting to crunch time here. You do not need to pit, or if you do, it's going to be really tight if they have to come back down once more. But Jose taking a wider entrance here, trying to flatten out the corner exit. Looks like he might have had the chance. I think he turned down a little too early. Had to back it up just enough. Not able to try turn number 3, but here we go through turns 3 and 4. And almost every single lap, they're identical as far as speed on exit. This difference is going to be in turns 1 and 2. Jose has a really good entrance here, has to back it down. So he's got the idea. And something happened there to Brian Bliss in the 3, who's had a really strong car here tonight, other than a couple incidences. And onto the replay, see what happened here as we're under caution here.
Yeah, under caution for the 3 of Brian Bliss. Looks like it's going to happen here probably, if I had to guess, Jeremy, exiting turn number 2. You can already see this 3 machine is heavily damaged, and as he works off turn number 2, probably going to get loose. And we thought right. Bam, right into the wall. Gets turned right in front of the field, and obviously iRacing cautions, they happen just like that. And usually you wouldn't see a caution like that if he was mired in the back of the pack, or if there was no traffic around him, but they close in on him pretty quickly there on the exit of turn number 2, and that's what put us under the caution. Real quick, let's take a look here at the Virginia811.com race summary so far from when we last looked at it. We've had a lot of cautions here tonight, and it'll come up here in just a second as Nathan Bigard still holding the race lead right now. But look at this here, Jeremy. A lot of the field coming down pit road, and the 01 elects to stay out. This could change everything.
I don't understand. There was a lot of hard racing there. I'm sure the 01's tires are not in the best shape. And almost every single other driver on the lead lap has pitted. So this is going to be very, very, very interesting here on this restart. Jose is going to be restarting second place. And I think Nathan had a miscommunication maybe with the team. He's going to come down pit road here with everybody else. And so this is going to put him back to about 9th or 10th position, I do believe. So I wonder what the call was there in the 01's camp.
Jeremy, I'm just going to say it. I don't think the 01 of Nathan Bigart wins this race now because of that move. I really don't know why he would come down to the pit lane right now after everybody behind him came into the pits. I mean, this is like practically just giving up the race lead. He could have held it if he would have pitted with everybody else, but I don't think he expected everybody to do so. I mean, like you mentioned, he's easily going to go back to about the 9th or 10th position here, and he's going to be mired back there. And we've seen how hard it is to pass here tonight. I mean, this race could have just got handed to Jose Acosta or Joseph Rahalva or anybody else throughout this top 10.
Yeah, I think you have a great call on the 01 having almost no chance. I'm sure he's going to drive through the field and get to third place, maybe second. But at that time, Jose is such a strong car. I don't know if you're going to be able to run him down. It's going to be really fun to see if that is the case. This is going to eliminate any chance of a green flag pit stop, at least for me, which I'm surprised the 01 didn't come down for fuel alone. So really throwing a curveball, changing it up, as they say. I forget the movie. I think it's Dodgeball, right? It's like that's a bold strategy there, Cotton. So I wonder what's going on there.
Charles Wooten got a report for us down here in the pits. What do you got this time, my man?
Well, I was just talking to Brody a little bit and talking to their team down there and watching our LSRTV go for a spin. And I did get reports. We saw Richie come down later than everybody earlier. And the reasoning behind that was actually because when he had been coming down, he was repairing damage. And he actually came down and forgot to turn his tires on, so they didn't change his tires. That's why he had to come down later than everybody. And then doing that, he also went a lap down, and it was kind of a downhill slide. But now, as you can see, he does have the track position sitting in 4th place.
Wow, how about that for Richie Coy driving the number 19 machine so far? It's been a little bit of a rocky road for him so far tonight, but now he has an opportunity to come in and possibly pick up the win for that number 19 machine. But here we go, coming into the Geico restart zone. Jose Acosta will lead him back down, but Joseph Rahalva gets a great restart. He'll try to pin the 24 down. Not enough. Opens up the door for Jamie Knopf entering turn number 1 of the 24. He overshoots the corner. Here comes Jamie Knopf to the inside of the racetrack. Gonna power down to the bottom. He'll battle with the 24 down in the 3, but Jose Acosta will keep the race lead as they exit 4.
Jose's is too strong here as he gets a great launch off corner 4. Opens the gap to about 2 car lengths entering turn number 1 here. Single file for the top 5. Jamie Knopf's best chance at maybe taking a strike at the race lead is just to got a really strong competitor right in front of him here. And Bigart still only 9th place after the first couple laps on this opening restart here. Little check up there by Jamie Knopf's going to check right in front of the number 12 of Joseph Rahalva. He's going to look to the inside and take the position number 2.
Yeah, you see Joseph Rahalva able to take that second spot as Jamie Knopf got really loose on the exit of turn number 2. Now they'll battle again back to turns 3 and 4. Richie Coy hot on their heels right behind them as they come off turn number 4. Still side by side. Advantage to Rahalva this time entering turn number 1. Richie Coy. Oh no! What is going wrong with the 12 machine? All of a sudden stops on the racetrack practically. It's like that car just came to a dead stop in the middle of the corner, Jeremy. I don't know if I've ever seen something like that.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at this one for sure. It's just strong run here from the 12. And just like that, his race has been sidetracked. And he's got a lot of work to do to get back to where he was depending on if there was any damage taken here. We're about to find out here. That issue was in turns 1 and 2. And here we go through turn 1. And he just got loose. You see the wheel turn to the right, Richie Coy just happened to run into him, could not check up enough, made the door-to-door contact and sent the 12 to the outside wall in turn number 2. And very interesting. The first car, at least on camera, Jason, that I've seen get loose braking into turn number 1. But you said earlier braking is so important here at this track, and that just looked to me a little bit too much of a rear brake bias, and just had a dog walk the car all the way through turn number 1 until Richie got to him.
Yeah, that was really, really interesting for the driver of the number 12 machine. And I mean, he's still up in the top 10, but that definitely hurt his chances of going out for the win or even a top 3 unless something miraculous happens here with these final few laps remaining. And Jose Acosta loves what he's seen. He's got one driver, Nathan Bigart, who's already back up to 6th, so that's probably his biggest competition. But again, Jamie Knopf just keeps getting better and better. Every restart, every little run, every long run. This 48 machine, Jeremy, I think very well might have something for this 24 car.
I mean, it's going to be fun to see for sure. This 24 is so strong. It's going to be really tough to get anything going against them. But, I mean, we've seen a lot of mistakes from a lot of different guys. So, I mean, the 24's chance could be, coming up on this restart, as we're going to be restarting with just over 50 laps to go in this 250-lap event here at the Richmond International Raceway. But things are getting spicy. They're getting fun up here. Richie find himself P3. It's going to be great to see what he can do. And just, it's minus the few mistakes. It's been a very stagnant top 10 as far as the cars themselves. But we've seen a few position shifts on this restart. So a little bit of a different picture on this potential final restart.
Yeah, this might very well be the final restart, but if it's like the Richmond race we've seen here tonight, I can only imagine that it's definitely not going to be here, as they're still under the pace car right now. Probably going to get the 1-to-go signal this time by coming around. And what do we have here? Charles Wooten. There we go. Look at that. The Dirt Car Racing Comp Cam Series Super Dirt Late Models, April 5th and 6th on Race On Texas exclusively. By the way, in season on Race On Texas. I know Charles Wooten loves his dirt racing. Who doesn't love a little bit of mudslinging dirt action here, crossing each other over left to right? I didn't really grow up in the dirt world. I've tried to keep up on it as much as I can, especially with World of Outlaws, but they run so many races every single week, Jeremy. It's so hard to keep up with the dirt world, and I mean, and there's so much exciting racing going on really throughout most of the short tracks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of dirt. I'm a big fan of asphalt, just racing in general. Count me in, and so that'd be exciting to watch as well here this coming weekend. But we got 1 lap to go here, Jason, before we're going to get this restart. We're going to be restarting on lap 199, so it's going to be 52 laps from here to the end. And let's see if Jamie Knopp can match the restart of the 24. Jose Acosta has been so good on restarts, whether if he's leading the race or trying to follow someone on a restart. He's been very good at it from what I've seen so far, joining you in the booth in 2024. But Jamie Knopp in the 48 trying to put a 3rd win in the win column. Not really so much in the picture for that up until late this race. Let's see what they can do.
Here we go. Green flag's back out. What does Jamie Knopf have for the 24? He doesn't get a great restart. Falls back to the front bumper of his teammate Simmons, entering 1 and 2. Richie Coy had the bottom open up. The driver of the 19, he'll move up into the 2nd spot, side by side with Knopf down the back straightaway. Jose Acosta loves what he sees. He pulls out to about a 2-3 car length advantage, exiting turn number 4, still side by side for 2nd this time.
Richie trying all he can there, got a little tight, a little close there to Jamie's door. They're going to remain side by side. This is great news for Mr. Acosta here, as though the 48 a little high on corner exit, maybe touched the wall, couldn't tell there. It's going to allow the 19 of Richie Coy to take over P2. And now here comes Daniel Simmons on the attack. Had to check up just a little bit there on corner exit to throttle it down. And they're going to go back to single file, but look who's there in 5th place, the number 01, trying to creep back in.
Does he have enough time? Does he have the speed? We'll have to see. Jose Acosta, fastest lap of the race last time around, 21.680. only one to, I believe, crack below the 7s, and he is still blistering fast last time around. Great run for him. Richie Coy, Jamie Knopf, Daniel Simmons, all three of those drivers ran their fastest laps of the race last time around in the 7s and 8s. And Jose still doing a great job out front. Here comes Joseph Grajava, despite spinning around, fighting up inside the top 10. He wants to get back up into the top 5 side. Oh, Jamie Knopf around front straightaway off turn number 4. The driver running right in the 3rd position. We talked about how fast he was. Don't know if there was contact, and we're going to have to see right here coming around next time by.
Oh man, yeah, we're going to have to take a look here. This is not good news for the 48. Going through turns 1 and 2. Looks clean here. Going through turns 3 and 4. They're single file, so not too much going on all around them. And just getting a little loose. Steps out in the flat part of turn number 4. Comes down the track. Does a great job of locking it before going right back into the field. That could have been huge. But able just to lock it down. No contact made whatsoever. Jamie Knopf just needs 4 fresh Goodyears and get back on the attack.
Yeah, and that was a great job by Jamie Knopf to be able to save that race car. I mean, I know it necessarily wasn't really a save, but he saved himself from being absolutely destroyed in the field. In fact, him and Brian Dublé will come down to the pit lane this time by to take some service and probably some Goodyear Eagles, 4 fresh good ones going on those race cars. Some fresh boots, possibly, on those machines here. Jose Acosta still holding the race lead. And Richie Coy this time, Jeremy, is going to restart up on the outside lane. We saw the great restart he had on the bottom last time around. I mean, if there's anybody who I think can probably challenge up on the outside here on this restart against Jose, it's the 19. But remember, earlier in the race, we saw the 19 either spun the tires or didn't get through the gears very well, exiting turn number 4 through the restart zone, got drifted back into the middle of the action. Despite restarting second, it's just the outside lane has not gotten the restarts it is needed tonight.
No, it looks racy after a couple laps, but then initial restart, you want to be there on the bottom. And Richie's gonna. This is the first time I think we've seen Richie starting in P2. Usually pretty strong on restarts, except for when. Actually, no, he did start in second place one restart. That's when he forgot to shift and checked up the field there on the top early in the stage number 1. So maybe he can have a little bit of redemption and have an excellent restart this time around here, under 50 to go, which the restart should be happening, I think, not this lap, of course, but the next lap after. But, yeah, a little bit of change up at pace once more, but this 24 is just so strong on these starts, and it definitely has the preferred lane. I think he should have no problem clearing Richie, and if he does that, you know, this might be fun. Let's see what Richie can do with some fresh air on the nose of that car.
1 to go will be given next time around. Nathan Bigart has worked his way all the way back up into the 4th position. Daniel Simmons there sitting in 3rd, and we've seen how good that second lane, or rather the second row, bottom lane, the restarting 3rd, has gotten usually the second spot given on these restarts here. We'll have to see what him and Richie Coy will do into turn number 1, unless Richie somehow misses a shift, spins the tires, or maybe even battles for the race lead coming off turn number 2. But I'm really watching Nathan Bigart, Jeremy. We've been seeing him ever since his incident on pit lane and having to come back around, and then obviously falling all the way back to 9th or 10th, and he has worked his way up into 4th, and with these cautions, it's given him the opportunity to get closer and closer. He picks up a few spots on these restarts, and then he just kind of just rides around, picks up another spot, caution has come out, and then he'll restart. This 01 is not out of this by any means. Watch out, because I'm telling you, Nathan Bigart is going to be on a charge right here.
Yeah, I believe he definitely will be starting in that 4th place there on the outside of the 06. That might be a strong racer to be side by side through the first lap or so. I'm pretty sure I'm going to see the 24 clear the 19, but the 06 and 01, this is going to be the battle. If Nathan can clear Daniel Simmons in this first lap and keep up with the pace of the 19 and the 24, this is going to be a really good 3-car shootout for you guys late in this race. We see pace cars down, waiting for them to take the green flag. late in the box, but there they go, green flag, and everybody got a great start because Jose was so late on the going in that Geico restart zone. So this is going to really be a strong, fun battle here. There goes 24 clear the 19. The 06 could not clear Nathan Bigart. Going through turns 3 and 4, Nathan has the whole car advantage here. See if he can keep that rotation on exit. We'll get it, and here we go. This is going to be an awesome race for you guys to watch.
Yeah, and the 12 of Joseph Grahaba to the outside of Jamie Simmons, battling for 4th. Richie Coy trying to figure out what he can do to get around that 24, but he has a hungry Nathan Bigart right behind him who has practically dominated this race. Besides Jose Acosta, they're going to try to see what they can do this time by at the line. 40 laps remaining here in the Commonwealth in Richmond, Virginia. Fastest lap of the race last time around by that man in the 01 machine, 21.620, and he is hungry and he is running them down. Richie Coy trying to run about every lane out here tonight to try to get around this 24. He hasn't been able to do it this time by. 39 to go from Richmond.
Yeah, in this race right now, if they can stay in green, this is going to be one for the ages for 2024. As Richie Coy is just all over Jose Acosta's rear bumper. Now, and Nathan going to go real strong into turn 3. Drives it in over a car length of space here. Just cannot get it to stick on exit. Trying something a little bit different there in 3rd place. But, man, that was a strong attempt there. I really appreciate what he's trying to do to change it up. Now going to try the diamond effect to straighten out the exit here on turn 2. As you're saying, to cycle through the top 10 here. Just really racy. They're all single file, but still looking like it's going to be a fun battle.
In this diamond effect, Jeremy, that we talk about, we saw in yesterday night's Cup race, Joey Logano used it a little bit to try to run down Martin Truex Jr. before the late race caution came out, and he nearly got there, but obviously he did due to the caution coming out. It does work, but you risk that right rear burning up so much going through the center, trying to cut down, and then running it super hard off turn number 2. You could do it in turn 3, but not nearly as good as you can do it through 1 and 2 just because of the way the corner is angled and because you're going down a straight back straightaway compared to the front stretch, which is angled and obviously curves to the left down that front straightaway. It could work for Nathan Bigart. We're just going to have to find out as you see the rest of this field continuing to battle position after position here. As you head back towards the front of this field, they are still nose to tail, and it is not over by any means.
Top 10 still within 3 seconds of one another. A little bit of gap there between 5th and 6th place, but outside of that, really close competitive battling here. Under 40 laps to go. And the past several laps, Jose is just inching a little bit further ahead there over the 19 of Richie Coy. They get to 1 and 2. They're going to close that gap up a little bit. Richie with an excellent corner exit here this time. So overall, great first half of the lap here for the 19. But get to the back half here, 3 and 4. 19 just runs a little bit tighter, and Jose breaks out by another 2 car lengths.
Lap 218 up on the board at a 250. Richie Coy trying to figure out what line he needs to run to get up to that 24. Nathan Bigart has pretty much stalled out in the 3rd position, back by about 4.5 tenths of a second back behind Jose Acosta, trying to figure out what he will need to do to get around Richie Coy if the opportunity is presented to him. But Richie's still able to maintain the gap from him to the 24. Has great corner entry speed, but on exit, they're pretty even off the corners. Acosta still with the race lead, but Richie Coy is not done as he tries his hardest to get back to the 24.
Nathan backing up just a little bit further. I don't know if that's just tire conservation or him just not having the speed here, but 19 is just locked in there about that car length or so space. The car just really tightens up. He needs to maybe shift up a half a car length, or there you go, where you see the 24. Give that quarter a length on the inside lane. Enough air to rotate the 19 a little bit nicer in 3 and 4. But the 24, Jose just great exit there on turn 4. Back to turn 1, though. Richie drives it in strong, and here we go. A little wobble from the 24. The 19 might look down, does not. And they're going to go back to turn 3, single file.
Richie is putting a ton of pressure on Acosta here, Jeremy, in these closing laps with now just 29 laps to go. This time by at the line, the 19, great entry. Not so much that time, but he'll do the diamond effect again. He'll clip the apron, get a little bit loose, through turn number 2. Big Art brushes the wall off the corner, but time is running out. But Jeremy, if these guys are going to save tires just a little bit, I mean, when is it go time? Because, again, it's just been so hard to pass here all night long.
Well, if it's a 19's camp, it's a little too late. The car just looks like it's getting really tight overall here. Trying to do everything he can to straighten up that corner exit. And you can see the gap has closed between Richie and Nathan. Going through turns 3 and 4 this time. A little bit gap closed in on the 24. The corner exit, Jose is just so strong. And actually the 0-1 and Nathan's going to lose a little bit of speed there on corner exit as well. So these cars are now spaced out 0.3 of a second from one another.
Yeah, everybody kind of getting spaced out a little bit now. It's not nearly as tight as it was about 3 or 4 laps ago. But again, Richie's just trying to throw everything but the kitchen sink at the 24 machine. Down into these corners, just can't close up the gap. If he's going to need something to happen, he might need a yellow flag, or he's going to need the 24 to absolutely run the rubber off of that machine of the 24 car. And Nathan Bigart, the same could be said for him. He is pretty much stalled out there in third. Nothing that he could do. But again, Jeremy, that 01 machine was so strong on the long run portion when he was out front. Now that he is running in that third position, do we see the long run speed out of this 01 car?
It's really tough to tell, man. He's laying back a little bit. I cannot tell if that's just the natural speed of the car, or if that's just him conserving a little bit here. But we're inside 25 laps to go. And to me, being almost a second out of your race leader, I would think right now it's already go time. I would need to close that up now because we know it's kind of tough to pass here. We've seen the 24 and the 0-1 run side by side, probably for 20 laps in total. So if you're going to make the move, you need to get there now. I just don't think Nathan has the car, and Richie seems a little bit tight. So right now, Jose Acosta's in a really, really great position if he can just keep the tire underneath him for just over 20 more laps.
Richie Coy starting to close up once again a little bit more. It's about 0.3 of a second this time as they come around to hit lap 229. Only 10 cars on the lead lap. Last one being Jake Euler. Jeff Chandler, the first one lap down. If caution were to come out, he'll get the lucky dog. That'll put us with 11 cars back on the lead lap. Everybody else with Joshua Johnson on back, 11 or more laps down, so they will not be a factor, but 11 cars almost still have a chance to win this race, but the time is running out. This time by 21 laps to go from Richmond, Virginia. Richie Coy trying to go and catch Jose Acosta and pick up what would be his second win of the season. Big Art trying to get his second, and the same could be said for Jose Acosta. All the top three going for their second win of the season, but Joseph Brahava only back by a second and a half. We saw him spun out a few laps ago trying to chase down his first ever victory in the Full Throttle Sim Racing Series, but the time is again slipping away from him. 19 laps to go. Can the 19 catch the 24? Time's running out. Who's got what it takes?
I've been watching the relative lap times right now, and Nathan is just locked into 8 or 9 tenths out as he slips this time back to 1 second. So the car's just getting a little bit tighter and tighter, but look visually at the gap between the 19 and the 24. Coy, the past 3 laps, has been almost 4 tenths, dropped it down to 2 tenths of a second now, as he is 1 car length away from getting a bumper to Jose. Really strong turn 1 and 2 here. Don't overdrive the corner, Richie. I know you got a lot of patience underneath you, but you also got 18 laps with a really strong car in front of you. And we haven't seen what Jose Acosta can do on the outside in defensive mode. If Richie Coy can get to the bottom, Richie's really good at kind of rotating underneath a too wide situation. And so if he can get there and make a mistake from Jose, this is going to be a really interesting battle as we got some lap traffic starting to peek in.
Yeah, and Richie has closed that gap up. It is only now separating them by about a car length and a half, this time by at the line. 16 laps to go. Kyle Milliken going to try to get out of the way as best he can, but might stall the 24 or 19 off corner exit, and it's going to hurt the 24 machine. Richie Coy going to try to use the 42 as a pick, drives it into the corner. Jose up off the bottom, but it doesn't change anything. 15 laps to go, and Acosta gains another car length over Coy, back to 1.
I gave Nathan a 1/10 of a second. He's back down to 0.7, 0.8. Let's see if he can't do anything here with that little advantage here. And Richie just able to he gets to the bottom so well and able to rotate, but corner exit, at some laps he looks really good, and some laps he just looks like he's putting the power down a little too early or a little too much. And so just a little bit of inconsistency from Richie Coy, where Jose is running almost identical corner exits and corner entrances. A little loose there from the 24, maybe even a touch on corner exit turn 2, but this 24 has got this turn 4 down so well. That's going to be, I think, the moment, or the race-winning moment for him. If he does happen to get side-by-side with the 19, I think the 24 is going to win this based off just rotation on that final corner.
This is like if you almost painted two different sides of your house at the same time. Which one's going to drive first? Who did it the best here? But it's all happening at over 150 miles an hour in an exciting fashion, because these two are running very, very similar lap times, very similar lines. But again, the question's going to be, who can dry up the quickest? Who's going to dry that paint? Who's going to come home the race winner? And again, it's just been these two so far. Nathan Bigart hasn't really played a factor in this top 3, Jeremy. He gained about a 10th, like you had mentioned, with the lap car of Kyle Milliken being in the way, but now he's dropped back to nearly 9/10. It's almost a second back to Bigart. These two are still going at it. Jeremy, I think this 19 is faster than the 24, but this dirty air is definitely hurting the number 19 machine. If he could just somehow figure out another line, maybe a different run, he's going to be right to the inside or even possibly the outside of this 24 here.
It's so tough, right? It's hard at this point in the race with 10 laps to go searching for a lane. When you're this close, as he gets a little bit of advantage, maybe off turn 2 this time, as we're running the roll bar camera here on the passenger side of this 19 Ford Mustang. But your homework time is over. You just have to go with what you've been practicing for 240 laps prior to just do what you got to do. Maybe just maintain second, maybe just hope that Jose makes a mistake. But if you go searching now up into that second and third groove where you have not been all race long, you might catch yourself in a situation where you're going to get really loose and wreck yourself, or you're going to allow Nathan to gobble you up there on corner entry, going to the inside. So it's just in a tough battle here. Richie just has to maybe use that bumper to make a pass. He makes a strong effort there, but you see on corner center, just has to check it up a little bit more. And now here comes Nathan here within 3 to 4/10 of that 19.
Nathan Bigart might have heard us up in the broadcast booth, or somebody might have told him, because all of a sudden he has turned on the jets in that 01 machine. Jeremy, you mentioned if he was possibly laying back, saving a little bit of tire, letting these guys duel it out. Guess what? Last time around, he was nearly a whole 10th faster than Richie Coy, half a 10th faster than Jose Acosta, and he is right there in the mix of this. This time by at the line, 6 laps to go. Coy, little bit of the tight exit there coming off turn number 4. He'll travel down to the bottom of the racetrack. Acosta will come down to cover the 19 almost to the rear bumper on corner exit. Who's going to get the drive off? Give it to Acosta down into turn number 3. 5 laps to go. The 19's right there. What will he do? 5 to go this time.
Jose just driving like a champion right now. Oh, the inside is
comes.
Opened up. Is he going to close it off? No, the 19 has the nose, but there we are, just too tight. Actually, he's able to rotate quite nicely there.
He's there.
And just, he's got just about 5 inches or so on that bumper to the inside, unable to allow Jose to get cleared into the front stretch here for the 4 laps to go. We are side by side. This is going to be a great race here to the end.
4 laps to go. Richie got loose off turn number 4. He's still hanging on. Gets a little loose off turn number 2. Thought about closing in. Now Acosta clears him. Richie Coy is going to have to try to figure out how he's going to get around this 24. Will he have to use the bumper? Could he pass him cleanly? 3 laps to go. This time by at the line as they enter turn 1. And here comes Bigart to the outside of Coy.
Jose driving like he has no pressure behind him. You see how shallow of a corner exit he has in that 24. No matter how close Richie is to him, Jose is holding his exact line. Heck, he has been 20 laps prior, just running his line and making Richie think every single which way how to get around him. Tried the inside, couldn't do it. Now he's going to try the outside. He just can't rotate the center like the 0-1 and the 24 can here. So he's going to have to do anything into turn 1 and 2. I think if he can't get him off turn number 1 and 2, this is going to be it.
White flag is out. 1 lap to go here from Richmond Raceway as they head into turn number 1. Coy all over the back bumper. The 24 gets a little tight through the center of the corner. It's going to come down to one final corner. Can Coy put the bumper to the back of the 24? Does he send it in? He tries. Acosta went higher. He'll get the drive off. Second win of the season. Jose Acosta wins the Richmond 250 in the Commonwealth here down in Virginia. What a finish. What a race. And Jose did everything he needed to do to keep the 19 and the 01 at bay. Jeremy, what a great race between the top 3 drivers there.
I called it on that final restart. I knew if the 0-1 could clear Daniel Simmons, it was going to be a nice little 3-car battle, and he saved the tires. He put on a great show for these virtual fans out here in Richmond, Virginia. And not to mention, Jose did everything but qualify. He started last, 27th place, and now he's at P1 here for the victory here tonight. Just an excellent performance there from Wolfpack Racing Team to get the 24 to victory lane here tonight.
Great job by Jose Acosta picking up his 2nd win of the season here as we take a look at the unofficial race results. And we're going to skip results. Jose Acosta, the race winner here. We're going to talk to our top 3 quickly before we head off the air. We'll be right back after this to gather up the top 3. Welcome back to the Richmond Raceway here for LSRTV's coverage of the Mach 1 Performance Cup Series. Wrapping up, top 3 are here. Nathan Bigart stands by with Jeremy Stanley after finishing 3rd here tonight.
Nathan, great race there. You had probably the most dominant car. One question for you in particular, that call on pit road where everyone came down the first time around, you stayed out and then came down the second time, which put you back on that restart. What was the decision on that? And could you have done anything different to try to capitalize a little bit sooner on the 24 and the 19?
Yeah, honestly, I was debating on whether to pit or not, so I was confused. And honestly, I wish I would have just stayed out because the tires weren't really wearing that bad. Even when I went in and pitted, they were at like 98%, so I don't think it would have made that much of a difference. As far as clean air was the biggest thing. Like that's why you've seen, I think, me and Jose battling so hard because just being behind one car really messed up my car anyway. I don't know about everybody else's, but and then when I pitted that second time around, I just figured I wanted to be on even strength with everybody else, fresh tires, and it was only like 9 cars in the lead lap, so I was like, I'll try to, I had a good car, I'll come back through, but man, it was a struggle. Like once I got back in the pack, it was tough back there. The dirty air was definitely a big factor on the setup I was running anyways, but yeah, all in all, I definitely wish I could go back and change things, but I guess like I always say, I'm in iRacing to, drive. I'm a race car driver. I'm bad at the crew chief part.
It's 10-4 on that, man. Babe, with practice, you can get a little bit better at that. So, congrats. Either way, though, top 3 finished here tonight. And final thoughts before we let you go.
Yeah, I'm just happy with the result. 2 stage wins and a top 3 finish. Here talking to you guys, I don't get to do that often, but obviously the practice I put in this week definitely helped. So happy to be here. Just definitely want to give a shout out to the racing up front. It was awesome. You know, me and Jose, a lot of respectful, hard battling. It was really fun. Richie also in the beginning. You know, I know I had some issues later on, but great racing. A fun group of guys to race with, man. Just happy to be here.
100% there. It was a great race to watch from our views as well. And we're going to turn our attention now to the 19 Richie Coy. Richie, Nathan just mentioned that there was a lot of dirty air that was causing some tight handling situations. And your car looked really strong on the long run, but it seemed exactly what he said. When you get about 2 car lengths or so, your car just kind of stalled out a little bit. Was that definitely the case for you tonight?
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I was back and forth all night long. I want to go back and count how many cars I passed tonight, because I restarted in the back at least 3 times tonight, and then drove up to the one time I drove up to what would have been third, but I was still a lap down. But yeah, when you got to somebody who was very similar in speed.
Richie, do you copy? I think you went mute there.
No, did you get any of that?
Started to, then we lost you.
Sorry, I gotta watch my button. My button seems to be going away. So anyway, I passed a lot of cars tonight. It definitely got tight behind guys that when you were running about the same speed, and what would end up happening is you would get tight in and then loose off, and it would make it really tough to pass people. I mean, I was a bit faster, I think, than Jose there at the end, but I just couldn't get him, and it is what it is. But the night that I had, I'll take second.
Yeah, I mean, you lost an entire front clip there. The team was able to slap a new one on. I thought maybe you were done at that time, but you proved me wrong. You proved everybody else wrong, and you drove up to the front. You said multiple times, and you definitely passed 20-plus cars. So just congratulations on an overall strong finish there. Awesome performance for the top 3. Final thoughts, though, before we let you go.
As always, we're going to thank Tony's mom and dad tonight first. Thank them for watching. Thank my team tonight. They really had a good, strong run. I think both of us got top 10s tonight. Wish Michael was here with us, and we're still looking for somebody to drive the 23. So outside of that, thanks to the league. Thanks to the guys. Thanks for some nice, clean racing tonight, all from what I saw. And thanks to you guys for doing the broadcast. Can't wait to watch it back. Hopefully it was exciting.
Yeah, it really was, and yeah, maybe one day we'll see another driver in the number 23, or the same one to actually show up. You never know, but yeah, congrats once more. But Jason, it looks like you're up with your race winner right now.
Jose Acosta coming home, 2nd win of the season, my man. You get it done in great fashion, back to front. How does it feel?
Feels great, man. Especially with those battles at the end. Yeah, it feels great to pass the finish line in first place.
Yeah, and obviously, man, the great racing. How was it mentally just holding off the 19 and the 01 there in the closing laps, because they were hot on your heels?
Oh yeah, they were fast, especially Nathan. He was really fast. I knew that on that third stage, I needed to stay behind him. I knew clean air was everything basically here. So that's why I didn't want to, let him go. So I stayed right behind him, and we were fighting for that lead for a long time. And I think at one point, accident 2, he hit the wall. I'm not sure if I touched him or something. I don't know. I got to see the replay. And that's how I finally passed him. And then I was up front after that. Clean air. It was, my car was feeling good. And I think that's actually what helped me at the end of the day.
And man, with that being said, who do you got to thank for that awesome victory here tonight for your 2nd win of the season?
And I want to give a shout out to the wolfpackcrew.com. I want to give a shout out to the league, FTSR. Also, you guys in the broadcast. And Victory Fuel, Richie Coy has the code. I don't know the code, but I'm pretty sure he's gonna mention it.
Coy 19. Coy 19.
There you go. and shout out to Richie Coy for racing me hard. And Nathan did a good job. And everybody in the field for showing up.
And that's Jose Acosta.
Yeah, I want to say also, Jose Medina, he was watching. He's my number one fan out there. He was watching, I know. Salute for him, shout out for him.
There you go. Always got to thank the fans, especially. That's Jose Costa, your race winner. Going to close out tonight's broadcast. We're going to go over to the Northwest Truck Series live from the old Atlanta Motor Speedway here in just a second. For everybody at FTSR, iRacing, everybody over at LSRTV, Jeff Stabnow, Jeremy Stanley for Jordan and me up here in the booth, Charles Wooten pushing all the buttons. We'll catch you 1 week time from Martinsville, Virginia, where we'll go short track racing. Once again, I'm Jason Rockwell saying so long. We'll see you next week in Martinsville.